tardes, buenos dias. I don't know how to say good morning in Japan. Uh, maybe my brother can help me out. But this is your boy, the
Ah,
Samsation again. And this my brother KHINO G and my cousin Katie. And aquí estamos en vivo en otro episodio. So we just tuning in, we just getting started. Este episodio va a estar caliente, mi gente. Like I always say, we do Spanglish, but we mainly stick to English. Pero vamos a hacer un poquito de los dos. And disclaimer, um, our show is pretty spicy. We speak about almost anything, and most of the time or all the time we don't hold back. So if you are the sensitive type, por favor, tune out right now because this
ah,
conversation tonight is gonna ruffle some feathers. So por favor, sálganse ahorita. If you're not ready for this type of conversation where we're about to speak about tonight,
mm,
leave now. Yes, and in a moment we're gonna have my other co-host, Kiki with the spirits. so, so it's gonna get real spicy. So everybody share the video, compartan el video por favor. Aquí vamos a estar nosotros hablando de todo un poco. Vamos a comenzar con esta conversación. Simple y sencillo. Simple y sencillo. El tema que ha estado yendo viral por los últimos 48 horas. The topic that has been going viral for the last 48 hours. Here we go. So let me ask you, Katie, and then KHINO G, you can answer after. Uh, are we Garifunas or Afro Latinos or both?
Oh boy, that one we started with. So, like, you know how I like to respond. We gonna be that human. I think generally, as an identity, if you identify as Garifuna, knowing your heritage, then it's going with Garifuna. Right? You understand your lineage. You understand your ancestors and our descendants and everything that they went through. And not only that, the similarities that we share in our own life now, when it comes down to traditional dishes or garments, things of that nature. When it comes to Africa, I think that's more American um, title. That's something que se creció like recently, whereas Garifuna has always been in history. You know, it's always been in time. That's always been a group of people. Whereas Afro Latino can it's more general for me. I think Afro just kind of refers to the black, whereas Latino wants to refer to the Latin, whereas Garifuna, we understand that we're a mixture of at least three groups, you know. So if you want to minimize yourself to Afro Latino, that's up to you. If you want to identify as Hispanic, other Latino, but just on the basis of all of it, I would just say know the background of it, understand why you want to identify with that
that's a fact. For example, me, when I find myself applying to like jobs or even like with my, when I go to my veterans hospital, they ask me, "Are you Hispanic, Latino?" And then they have this section where they put other. So I'm like, "Yo, let me put the Garifuna people on the map and put other Garifuna so niggas can know what's really up,
one. Yeah.
Okay.
so people understand. No,
Yo,
there's another group of people out there. Go ahead, bro.
no, I
Important
was.
that
Okay.
ended up with the checked other box was so that you can understand that there's other subgroups out there, right?
Not exactly.
We don't have to fit Hispanic. Yeah, Spain got a little something to do with Garifuna, but we are not Spaniards, right? We are in America, but it's Central America. So again, back to the origin, it's like, why not throw Garifuna in the demographics? If y'all want to talk about statistics and they're supposed to be
Hmm.
that we gonna
There we
fit,
go.
check that other. Throw Garifuna in there. They see it enough. Eventually, it'll be its own box.
And what about and
And
what about people that say, oh, y'all say that like y'all Garifunas this and y'all not Afro Latino, but yet y'all come from a Latino country. So what do you think about that opinion? Like, oh, there's not a country called Garifuna. So
So I think we're
people are so
kind of a
ignorant.
group because we're a culture people, and not only is the name our culture, but it's the name of our language, right? It's our dialect, and you understand the difference between dialect and a language. Garifuna consists of Spanish, French, and African, right? So this is gonna make a subgroup of people that already existed. So now, when it comes to again identifying as Afro Latina, you can if you want to, but saying Garifuna is a
Yeah.
different statement. It's a different background. Um it's a different startup story if we're gonna put it like that. So it's more like drop the Afro Latino and just accept Garifuna, because the only thing that we've ever heard growing up about Garifunas don't know if they want to be Jamaican or African or Spanish. Garifunas are Garifunas, okay? We speak Spanish, yes, but we are still Garifuna. We don't take that away, right? If a person is from China, or if they're from, I don't know, North Korea, and they speak Mandarin, does that now remove them from the country that they're from? No, they just happen to speak that extra language, right? That language that's dying out.
Okay, so
Yo,
like,
I just wanted to clarify, which is a little bit like contradicting for those that don't know the meaning of Hispanic versus Latino. I'm gonna give you some references here. Hispanic refers to a person with ancestry from a country whose primary language is Spanish. Latino and its variations refer to a person with origins from anywhere in Latin America, Mexico, South and Central America, and the Caribbean.
mm,
Hmm.
So you can be Latin and Hispanic, or you can
It's
just be Latin, you know?
it's
They
unfortunate
uh,
how they be confusing people in
they
these goddamn paperworks.
makes you Latin, but if you're speaking Spanish, that could be of Spaniard association.
makes sense. And like, okay, so me personally, I feel like if you want to identify yourself as a rabbit, I'm not gonna argue. I'm not gonna fight with you. You're a rabbit. Go ahead. Go ahead.
You might as well start saying non-binary, bro. That's what that's what that come down to. I still don't even know
Understand
what that means.
and all
It's
of
not.
like like I'm not gonna sit here and argue with people in the internet about where they what they think they are. If they think they Afro Latino, let them think they Afro Latino. If they think they Garifuna, let them think they Garifuna. At the end of the day, I know what I am. I know like who my family is, where I come from. So I'm not confused. That's what it comes down to. A lot of the people out there are confused about who they where they belong to, or they just probably straight up don't know. Some people like their history, their background has been erased over time. Like
yeah.
hay muchos negros americanos que ellos no saben de dónde vienen. Ellos cantan un poco in a sense of word, they lost their culture along the way. Meaning they developed their own culture, which is like the Black American culture now. But like at one point, it was very African derived. But over the years, it became more like, like what it is now. The music, the dressing style, everything. So who are we to come and tell like a Black American, oh, you African American? No, if they want to say I'm Black American, let them be Black American. Like, so a lot of the Americans that are color now don't identify themselves as African American no more. They be like,
Right.
we have no connection to our roots. We have no connection to no African countries. So therefore, we Black American. You
Right.
know,
And there's literally Africans that hate hearing that. Like, yo, why they calling themselves African American if they have, like you said, no connections to it? Like Africans, real Africans be feeling offended because of that, yo.
But you
yeah,
understand that not only you see the system that we growing up in, right? We understand the whole thing with the Mandela effect. You understand Mandela effect, right? The
yeah,
conspiracy behind Mandela effect. It's the attempt to try to rewrite history, or at least erase certain things that happen. Bernstein Bears, the fucking cornucopia and food, Fruity the Looms, all of these things is to erase that. So if the origin for African Americans we understand has been lied to through textbook, through browsers, all of these databases that have gone as far as to try to cover up the truth, how can they identify with any origin if they've been lied to about it this whole time? Right? That's the
I agree.
one majority of group in America that's never gonna see their reparations. Native Americans got it, right? Fucking Jewish people got it. They have their own communities, their own ambulance, cheese bus, schools, right? These communities have what's owed to them. Blacks can't do that
Right.
because it's on the masses in a way that's like, if we
Yo,
give them back any of the things that we took, we're fucked as white people, right? That's what they're all in fear of. If they actually use their power in the way that we fear, white people as a nation is going to end. They can't do that after years of being here. You know what I'm saying? So there's something for them to protect, which is why it's always important for the African Americans to be redlined, to be not accepted in these elite areas, because it's a constant reminder to keep you down here, right? You don't belong up here. We can go there, but you don't belong up here. So as long as you're down here, where is the growth going to come from? So how can they identify with nothing that they don't know about? If you don't know what your traditions were like, if there's no stories about around the fire of jumping the broom, of what they used tusas for, or what this
Mm.
wood plank was used for back traditionally, if they don't have those stories, what they gonna go back to? But as Garifunas, we understand, okay, when you see this mask, when you see this dance, when you see this instrument, when you see this food, we're like, that's us automatically.
Yeah.
Black people are kind of like, we identify with ghetto. That's not a culture. That's not a culture. It's a culture, I guess, a way of living, but ghetto is not a culture.
I agree.
It's just a impoverished
That's
life.
right.
We have that everywhere. So technically, it's not a culture. You just a colored person in America. So I can see where
Yes.
a little bit of a discrepancy there with trying to identify as that, because it's not a group to be in here anyway.
Javi said, no, let me read what Juwan said first. Juwan said, I agree. We are not Afro Latino. We have our own history and struggles. Just because we have adapted to other cultures and languages doesn't mean we are Afro Latino, etc., etc. Then Javi said, Afro Indigenous is what I would say. Oh,
Well, the groups that we derive from, yes, they were all indigenous groups. So
Yeah.
technically, yeah,
Mhm.
we're descendants of a bunch of subgroups, a bunch
Yeah.
of indigenous groups. So he's not wrong either.
yeah,
You're not wrong.
yeah, definitely. And I was just personally gonna say that like there's a misconception that goes around that like let's say for instance, oh, vos no naciste en Honduras, vos naciste en Estados Unidos, vos sos yankee, vos no sos garífuna de verdad. Vos no hablas el lenguaje, you don't speak garífuna, so vos no sos garífuna. And then they start talking to you in garífuna, and only because they know that you don't understand, they try to make you feel less than. But I'm like,
Downplay.
only because I don't speak the language or understand it, that doesn't mean I'm not Garifuna. You know
Right.
how many Chinese Americans there are, or Italian Americans that they probably don't speak Chinese or Mandarin. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like that doesn't take away. So a lot of people are quick to jump into that
That's
stupidity.
stigma.
Yeah, that stupid stigma, that ignorance, and
Ignorant.
sometimes so then that's why a lot of like Garifuna people that are confused or they chose to identify themselves as Afro Latinos, they do that because they feel more comfortable with the fact that they speak Spanish and in English, and they identify themselves more with that because they don't speak Garifuna. So they feel like for them to be 100% Garifuna, they will have to know the language, which is not the case. But that comes from the bullying from other people that know Garifuna. They make those other people feel like they don't belong, if it makes any sense.
You make sense. I think to add on to that is more, okay, you see how like there could be Puerto Ricans or Dominicans and they've never gone to their country and they don't speak Spanish, but they absolutely identify as that, right? Like
Yes.
I think it's the same thing for us, where some people who they don't understand the history of Garifunas, that it's easier to just say I'm Afro Latino because it's like a band-aid for the reason why I speak Spanish, right? It's like, well, why do you have an accent if you don't speak Spanish? And it's like, nigga, did you know that that was possible? Like, you know that I was raised by a person who don't really speak the language, who doesn't really speak English, so it's plausible that I might have picked up an accent more than the language. However, to shut you up, I'm gonna say, yeah, I am Spanish, or I am Afro Latino, or why is your last name Diego? You're brown. Like, it's because your mind is so small that it can't wrap its head around the fact that you
Yeah.
can have a Spanish brown person who's not Jamaican,
Right.
who is not Panamanian, who definitely isn't Dominican. You get what I'm saying?
That's how people think like
Open
that.
your eyes. There's different kinds of people in the world where it's like I don't have to just say Afro Latina and say that's the reason why she's Spanish. Nah, you see, Diego, ask about me because I got a history to tell you. My people are rich, and let me tell you why. Right? We're not talking about wealth. We're not talking about rich in finances. I'm talking about spiritually rich. So if at the end
That's
of the day you didn't know about it, let me tell you. Oh, Diego's usually a first name. It's a Mexican. Well, we do share ascendants with Mexicans, right? The Mayans, but we have our own culture, and let me explain why. If you want to go region, if you want to go in topics of language or time frame, all of this has a part to play in effect with one another. Yes, we have similarities, but our differences is what's supposed to teach us. The
Mm-hmm.
similarities just bring us together.
Facts. Fuck. Pepper, yo, I gotta get my sound effects ready.
Yeah, man. What they at? What they at? What they at? Hell yeah. True
But
facts.
everything that you just said, Prima, like I love it. Oh, hold
Oh, oh baby Jesus.
like at the end of the day, yo, like honestly, I feel
And
like
it's go ahead, bro.
no, go ahead, bro, go ahead.
It's just so sad how we have these powerful tools in our hands on a daily basis, and people still can't come to research on others, and people are still closed-minded, ignorant about all the different cultures and humans that are in this world till this day. Like we in 2024, like how some people still don't know that there's black Spanish speaking people on this earth, bro. Like I still get it to
Facts.
this day. And then niggas be like, "Oh, you Dominican? Like, yo, DR is not the only black Spanish. Oh, you Panamanian? Like, no, bro. Like, if you do your research, Central America has a lot of fucking black people that speak Spanish, and people are still not aware to this day, bro. It's just so sad.
Y eso es lo que a mí mucho tiempo no me dio cólera, pero me molestaba. Lo que tú dijiste ahorita es cierto. Muchas veces cuando vienen gente que son, digamos, blanquitos o indios o de otros países, vienen y preguntan esa estupidez. Oh, ¿de dónde sos? ¿Sos de Cuba? o, son
Yo,
de, o son de la República Dominicana. They have a certain stigma that only like certain countries have black people when pretty much almost every country has black people. So I personally I try to like not to let ignorance offend me because that's what it is at the end of the day. Como nosotros fuimos a la escuela en Honduras, ¿verdad? Yo me recuerdo cuando estuvimos allá en las clases, a nosotros, ellos nos dijeron que tenemos que aprender las capitales de todos los países centroamericanos y todos los países latinos. So we literally learned about every capital of every country, you know, because it was important to be open-minded and learn about other countries and other cultures. So we learned a little bit about Chile, you know, we learned a little bit about Paraguay, you know, like stuff like that. Like in los Estados Unidos, they don't really teach you much about geography. They don't teach you much about other cultures, all the history around the country, because for some reason the studies here, the education here, just focus about things that has to do with the United States. And that's why I feel like the education is failing because for you to be more exposed to all this stuff about life, you need to be open to other cultures as well. Introduce other cultures into your educational system so that way when people grow up and get out of here, they don't look like idiots when they go to other countries. Like they know something, you know. So yeah,
hmm.
me personally, I feel like if people want to identify themselves like however they want to identify themselves, then let them be. ¿Para qué te vas a calentar la cabeza con alguien que ni paga tu renta, no paga nada? What do you say, bro? Here we go.
What I miss? Did I miss anything? Did I miss a
Mm,
lot?
you only missed. We started the topic with the conversation of like the Afro Latino versus Garifuna conversation.
How'd that go?
So far we're still on it. We haven't closed on that topic, but I was
Yeah.
just saying if people si gente se quiere identificar, I said if people want to identify themselves like a rabbit, as an example, right? Who am I to tell you that you're not a rabbit? If you're a rabbit, you're a rabbit. Go ahead, hop around.
Be,
Like
be whatever you want to be. Be whatever you
yes,
want to be. Listen, I ain't got no. I have no disagreements with that. You want to be purple? Go ahead and be purple. They don't bother me. It ain't got to
you,
do with me.
exactly. You think Barney is real? You think Santa Claus is real? By all means. Like
Do what
I'm
you got
not.
to do.
So I don't understand why people on social media like take it so like too hard. Like yo, like don't take what other people believe to like that's their personal belief. Like, and
Hmm.
I think that's why there's a lot of conflicts around the world because
Hmm.
there are many people that like cannot accept or respect other people's opinions. Like like with the religious aspect, a lot of people dive so deep into religious that they go to war over religious beliefs.
Yeah,
Yes,
they're
yes,
right.
that's
Mhm.
ridiculous. Like, if somebody thinks that Jesus is black, let them think that Jesus is black. Like,
Yeah.
it's that Jesus is not your Jesus, right? Like,
No. I mean, my Jesus black.
yeah,
Look,
you know, no, you know what I'm saying, Kiki.
I know what
So like, I know that a lot of people want to go to like the geography of things.
yeah.
Yes, if you look at where Jesus could have been born and all of that, yes, more than likely he wasn't like a blonde hair, blue eyes guy
Yeah,
because
he's
of
a
the geography.
nigga. He's a
Yeah.
nigga. He's a nigga all the way.
But at this point, I'm not gonna argue with nobody, Prima. I'm just gonna be like, okay, that's fine. Like, as long as you don't fuck with me, like if it doesn't have nothing to do with my family or me, let you be. You know.
Absolutely not. I'm back and forth with you.
Really?
No, you like no, you like it. I love it. What the? Well, okay.
My bad. The
Didn't I pay my
connection left.
bills?
I swear to God, every time we start hitting some hard topics, my signal seems to go off. I swear, people are listening, bro. They don't want us to talk about real shit out here no more, bro. It's
You
crazy.
know, you gotta light the sage or spray something before you get on here.
Girl, I gotta put my VPN on. That's what I gotta
Yeah.
start doing.
Oh yeah, he done went all the way. You need a password that and everything. That's what that VPN do. It's a password and everything.
Hey,
You know.
Akina.
Hi, happy Friday,
Happy
guys.
Friday. I love the hair, girl.
Thank you. You gotta switch it up. You gotta switch
Yeah,
it up.
man. The bangs I ain't got doing it. Shoot,
You
don't
gotta
kill
switch
me.
it up. I got
Kill
another
me.
one for tomorrow. I got another one for tomorrow.
Ow.
Cause
Pero,
she's stepping out. She's stepping out tomorrow. I got another one.
hey, hey. But yeah, guys. Honestly, like, that topic to me is I just wanted to touch it because that was that was the topic that was going hot on Facebook for like the last 48 hours.
For
But
real? How did I miss this?
yeah, like people were like arguing over Afro Latino versus Garifuna nonsense, and
It's
I'm
the
like,
same
yo,
thing. I think it's the same thing.
yeah, to me, it doesn't matter. Like,
Speaking speaking on Garifunas though, I really want to hear Nandy's opinion on Garifuna being not being American enough.
It's
oh
not
my
American.
god, like,
Who said it's American?
Us not
That's
being American enough. Nandy got a good point on that, yo.
like I need to know further
so
explanation
wait,
of
she
that
says
because I don't.
Garifunas are not American enough?
Yup, not being American enough. Yo, wait till she comes back.
I don't got no rebuttal with that. I mean, she ain't wrong.
I don't know. Like, I need to hear why. Where's the context coming from?
Yeah,
Like, I
yeah.
need to,
Nandy got
like I cannot put an opinion yet until I hear why she said what she said. I need to know. Once she comes back, she's probably gonna explain
I
that.
just
But
Yeah,
realized
not
she might
American,
be
not American enough, like as in they're in America already and they're not American enough, or American
yes.
like
Along those that context, yes. Okay, that's so funny. Oh man. But
well,
yo, bro, did that conversation end already on Facebook about them going back and forth about that? Or they
I
still
hope
going?
so.
yo creo que todavía está. Well, he kind of died off a little bit, but he was on earlier though. Like earlier, a lot of people are still speaking about
They
it.
probably was going
But I
hard. I
think
gotta go back and look at this thread so I can laugh.
People just get in their bags, bro, and they don't know how to like have a argument. Ridiculous.
Fíjate. That's-
like, it's the truth. La mayoría de los garífonas se molestan con cualquier opinión o con cualquier discusión que uno tiene, les molesta y ya empiezan a hablar
yeah,
tonteras o tratar de criticarte. Esa es la primera cosa que la
everybody
mayoría.
critics. Hi,
Hi, Kina!
That's what they
what's
used to
going
call them.
on? It's a reunion. It's reunion time.
Happy New Year, Merry
Happy New
Christmas, many
Year.
blessings to you always and forever.
Peace and love and light.
Amen.
We in here.
You.
We in here.
Amen.
No, so wait,
How did you
Nandy,
know?
we want to know something. So you said Garifunas are not American enough. We need you to expound on that.
I got you, cuz.
I agree with you, but we need you to expound on that.
Yeah,
Wait
We agree.
a
I
minute.
said,
All right,
go
so
ahead.
uh,
No, I was
go
just saying, since we in that Garifuna topic, like I would need to hear Nandy explain how
Yeah, I need to.
Garifuna not being American enough. So lay it down for us, cuz.
Yeah, hear this.
so I'm gonna speak on my personal experiences, right? Growing up in the Bronx, right, and the youngest of 13 kids, and then going off to college upstate Rochester.
Okay.
In that difference, not only that, in our upbringing, going to Honduras every year. So there's schooling, then we go to Honduras, live our lives, come back
Hmm.
here. We got to be the American that we have to be, and once we're done with our free time, we got to go back home to Honduras. What was the issue for me was that as much as I had similarities with Spanish
Yeah.
people, I would always feel this resistance where it's like I'm not black enough for the black people, but I'm not Spanish enough for the Spanish people either,
Amen.
right? So when it comes to us being in the, let's say, right, let's speak
Hmm.
openly, right? Washing up. How do you do you wash your hands? Do you use a towel? Do you use a tambo?
I used to use my hand, and then I had a boyfriend that was like, "You should be using rags," and I was like, "Yeah,
Right. See, I learned that the garifuna thing. We do the hand straight on our vagina. That's how they
yeah,
get us to know our body and how to wash ourselves. And not only that, that's one of the cleanest ways. Whereas the second option, using a
yeah."
tusa, a little
A little
wash
wash rag,
rag,
yeah,
you just like a sponge that collects bacteria over time.
yeah,
So technically, that's not the most sanitary option, but it's still a choice. Then you have the tambo. That was what would frustrate me, is that if I slept anywhere that wasn't my crib and you didn't have a tambo,
yeah,
I didn't know what to do in the morning besides shower, right? Because you don't wash the way that I
yeah.
wash, right? And that's an American thing. That's not even just a Spanish thing. I understand that that's a garifuna thing. Not only that, we washing our underwears. What we doing,
That is so fun. I just had a conversation with my
right?
mom about that.
It's
That is so funny.
right? You don't see nastiness in there. This is yours. This is what you do with it. It's not, oh yeah, you gonna right in the hamper and just wash one cycle. Or that's
So that's funny
no
because
judgment.
growing up, that's what I did, right? But then you have like, I got my in-home washing machine or whatever. So like my mom is funny because like sometimes she'll still do that. So she was like, "You're not offended I do that, right?" I was like, "No." I said, I've just figured it's very Hindu of you." Like, because I put it in the hamper, I set it and forget it,
That extra cleanse, they can be
Yeah.
clean. So if you go with your hand, you know your hand got in there because you don't really trust your clothes just
That's what
doing this
that's
in
what
the
my mom
washing machine.
says. That's what my mom says.
Exactly. You don't really think it's gonna get in there, so you want to clean these things. So going to college and seeing that kids didn't know how to, not even kids, adults like myself didn't know how to do laundry, right? The laundry room was right next
Right.
door. It wasn't a matter of being lazy, it was legit a matter of they didn't know how to wash their own clothes. Whereas the things that we grew up resenting our
We
parents for,
hmm
obligado, have to wash it. You need to make your own breakfast. Your brothers and sisters already know how to do it. They would shame us into trying to growing up too
Yeah.
quick. Whereas most people, you got your grandparents and all of that doing all this shit for
Yeah.
you, right? How many friends did you have? Oh yeah, my mom went in my room and she cleaned it. I
Yeah,
fucking
I had a
wish,
few fans. I had a few friends like that. I still got
right?
people that if their mom is around, they gonna clean their room.
Or still just
Huh?
enter their room. Whereas us, it's not necessarily. Oh, this is really cool. Whereas like we see those differences where like Americans are not necessarily growing up like that, and neither are the Spanish people, right? And so it's like having to be a double person. Where I don't know if tell me if y'all
Mhm.
agree, feeling like an imposter in my own body because I feel like I have to be what they raised me, which is pure traditional
Yeah,
garifuna, in an African society that said no,
yeah. It's
you
it's like
can't,
triple life. Sometimes you got a triple life. You got corporate life, family life, and then you got your friend life. And sometimes,
right?
and sometimes, I mean, definitely going to school with my friends. I mean, I have a lot of Hispanic friends, but sometimes being with my African American friends, it was like, well, you're not like you. Not that I'm not hood enough, but you're not black enough because your family's from there, or I have good friends where they never made me feel like ostracized. But then I've had African American friends who are like, oh well, you hang out with all Spanish people, but it's like I can hang out with you too. But it's just like the minute I know something a little different, you already feel a little like threatened by it. So that was like it's gotten better definitely over the years, but most of my staple friends are Hispanic women. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's not on purpose, it just happened that way because there's more
Really?
understanding about, yeah. And I make fun of them because sometimes I call my best friend Janifa. Her name is Jenna. Her name was Jennifer, but I call her Geneva because I'd be like, girl, I don't know where you from. I know you Guatemalan, but girl, you just
Tina, you grew up speaking
not
Spanish,
really. No.
but you
Yeah,
understood
and
it.
my mom, that's her first language. I speak Spanish now, but like that wasn't like my dad was from the VI, so it wasn't like you know what I'm saying. It was very much, but then it was like go outside. I'm trying to do what the outsiders do. Come home, they're like, oh, you don't do that. We don't do that over here. Like that's American now. So I used to get annoyed because I'm like, but we're in America, so like I don't get it.
I had it. I didn't go with the Spanish. I went more the with the African American
Yeah,
group, the black people. And now that I realize as a mujer now, it's like I realize how much I suppressed
yeah,
so
you
much
do.
of just to kind of fit that
Oof,
box. And
yep.
I'm like, why gotta be this hood bitch that gotta talk
And you don't
like
talk like
this?
that,
Yes,
right?
you get what I'm saying? Like, yes, I'm around it, but that doesn't necessarily have to be me. I don't necessarily have to embody that as an expression of myself. But I guess that's what I'm around. Now, when it comes to like the French, I think for Spanish, I was always self conscious about speaking
Yeah,
it, so it was like I never tried to go that route. We around if we're gonna saludar our, but if it was to like have a conversation, that was another eye opener for me stepping into the world. There's different kinds of Spanish out
oh,
there, just
definitely.
like there's different kinds. You got hood English, you got proper English, you got patois
Yep,
English, and you are in that caliber where it's like I notice when I speak to a Mexican, I can understand them. I can have a conversation.
yeah,
I can speak to a Garifuna, depends on what town they're
yeah.
from, right? What pueblo. Dominican,
I was about to say you just took
you're
the words
gonna
out of
have
my
to
mouth. Dominicans, I'll be like,
loading because slow it down a second. You throw a math words in there that only y'all fucking know. Somebody just told me a bispo the other day. I didn't know that that was a thing, right? But these are different words that people have in their own kinds of slang that it doesn't necessarily mean I didn't know. It didn't mean that I didn't know Spanish. It just means that I wasn't able to communicate with them at the level that I
yeah,
was. Now, having spent the summer in Honduras and throwing myself in head first like the way I did, I was there by myself. So I had to learn how to,
assimilate.
if I'm gonna get a camera food, I'm gonna have to booga booga. I'm gonna make the shit
Right.
work. So now I feel more, if anything, I feel more open in myself. The fact that not only do I feel like a master in English, but now can I apply that in
Spanish,
Spanish?
right.
And like that's gonna be real elite. We can be up to par in English, but now can we do that in our
I
other
only know the
language?
bad
That's what
words. I
makes
only know
me.
the bad words in Garifuna. I only know the bad. I said I
Huh?
only know the bad words in Garifuna. Only the bad words in
And
Garifuna. Oh, and I know Buiti
piggyback, someone said earlier where it's like you have people who are from this country but don't necessarily speak the language and still identify with these groups, right? You have Garifuna or brown people in Honduras who, all right, I'm sitting here fresh off the
Mm-hmm.
plane with the Binafi, with your gunyo, right? With the Rabonweyo.
Mm-hmm.
Buenos dias. Bueno, who you talking to? Because I, American, could come on the soil and at least try to apply myself. Fuck,
Yeah.
you just letting the culture die in the palm of your own
Yeah.
hands. You get what I'm saying? This was my first. Last year was my first time meeting a couple of people who were Honduran but didn't identify as Garifuna.
Mhm.
I thought that was
So,
preposterous. I thought that
so
shit
what? When
was
you say they're not
blasphemous.
Garifuna, are they like black? Are they black Hondurans and they don't identify as
they're,
Garifuna?
they're brown, they're brown Hondurans. They don't identify as
But you're
Garifuna.
automatically
And I had to.
What?
like, when you're brown, you're automatically
Oh
Garifuna.
no,
Yo, where
no,
that
and this
shit
is
at?
where we
Yeah, there's
here's
another culture. There's another race within Honduras that they like black, but they're not Garifuna. I learned. Yeah, I forgot what they
What's
call
The
them.
brown
who is
mistis,
it?
from
mistizo or the what do they call them? Idudus?
Fuck.
No, right?
Uh, I don't.
no, you do very light skin, right?
Yeah.
But they still identify as Idudunu. They still have their own language. But there are a set of brown individuals who don't identify with no groups, no tribes, no
Really?
Where
none of
the niggas at?
it. Yes, actually, the woman who gave me these bracelets, she was like, "I am not Garifuna." She was. I think she said she was from. I want to say Corozal, but
Really?
she never. Yeah, she doesn't identify. Actually, this is ironic. There's someone in the Mariano family who doesn't identify as Garifuna. I've actually spoken with them this summer. So they don't identify with the language, they don't identify with the group, they don't know the history, and so it's much easier to just say I'm Honduran, right? And then their parents are mixed, and so if anything, they identify with being Indio
Yeah.
more than they did Garifuna. My fucking skin complexion, but they identify more with Indio. Again, I'm not here to tell you who they are.
Wow,
If
I'm
that's like
intrigued. I'm
I
really
look you wanted
right,
to know who the hell is that, but all right.
we're gonna meet a human, but it's just to say
um,
like there's people out there do exist that we never thought, and it's not that we know everything, but it's just ooh, so not every brown person in Honduras can we assume is Garifuna as well. And then again, it goes back to what is Garifuna. Many Garifunas cannot fucking answer that question. Okay?
mhm.
Prima,
Many Garifunas cannot answer what is
can
a
you
Garifuna, right?
identify?
Like what
Can you identify?
Sorry.
Explain the flag colors again, Prima? We'll learn that shit today. No lie.
No, you didn't.
Dead ass, low
is so
key.
what is it? It's the
You said the white
the
is for
Black Caribs.
the yellows for.
Hmm? Arawak
Uh-huh.
Indians, the yellow Indians, the black is for the Black Caribs that were already on the land, and I forget what the white
Yep.
is.
I know the yellow was for Adawaka and then the black was for, the blackness. I
Black
forgot you're right. I forgot what the white is for.
Gotta get that white in, you know.
into, but origin of that flag to say like you're honoring the people who was already on the land, and then you're also
Is
honoring
it
the
the
ship, the two
ancestors?
ships to St. Vincent. Yes, because it's in the 1700s, right? We were
Yeah.
exiled in 18, and then even then, so we're brought to the mainland somewhere in the 1800s, late 1800s as well, or early 1900s. And I actually visited the rock
So
where they settled on the mainland. So
so
it's like in it's the Punta of Triunfo and
okay.
Ensenada, but they have rock painted in yellow,
That's
white, and
cool.
black, and on the rock they have it inscribed. It was 1879, if I'm not mistaken, that they arrived, and they have like a Garifuna scripture on there as well. So it's like
Nice.
these are histories that we don't know about,
Right.
right? These two ships. What was the name of the ship? Who was the captain? Where was it coming from? These are questions that no one has ever thought to answer. Whereas it's just to say, no, we were just already there. No, baby, our people went through a hell of a lot to stay alive for us to
And
shit on
that's
them
why
the
we're
way
so
that we're
proud
doing right.
now. I think that's why Garifuna people are just very
Proud
proud.
for what? Proud for
I think they're just prideful people. Like they just be ready for whatever. I
yes,
feel like it's deep seated in our bloodline that we just be ready for whatever. Like, and we don't take no shit.
ready.
National Geographic presents the Acadian Discovery.
Yo, real quick though, Nandy, you remember how earlier you said that if you look up anything about Garifunas on the internet, you'll find a whole bunch of like mixed up shit, like facts that are not even
Wikipedia.
right straight.
I feel a lot of
Well,
Wikipedia.
you not lying. Look, I just looked up the meaning of the flag colors. On one of the sites, it said for the white is peace and prosperity. On this one here, it says it represents the white skin of the Europeans who were the historical antagonists of the Garifuna people. Well, here it says it also represents the peace that the Garifuna people ultimately sought. Okay.
I like that one. The piece that we saw. I like that one better. But I don't know.
Did y'all
The white skin of the
Daddy
Europeans were the historical antagonists. What the fuck?
or pain and Funa means for ripe, and so Garifuna is ripe pain.
Ooh. Ooh.
Mm.
Did did we understand that about our people?
Ooh.
Wow.
I love the gems that we have because this is what I'm saying. I'm like, as much as we try to identify with other cultures, ours is so
Rich. It is.
rich
No.
that not many people know about it. And I'm like, I can't fault our people because, again, we don't know the information. Our history is so inaccurate. It's always like around 1700s or around 1800s. Joseph Shakuya has like 17 different spellings. At the end of the day, which one is it? Because there's only one. You get what I'm saying? Like there's only one. But our history is hasn't been discovered enough to have that kind of accurate
Have
information.
you thought?
Let
Have you
alone
thought
people.
about doing like a documentary? You should do a documentary.
I see Dios quiere it's in the
Okay, I'm
works.
like, you should definitely like do a
L-
documentary and talk to like different people, and then like, just because that's really important. And I feel like that can really be on like National Geographic. Like, I feel like that could really be on A&E. Like, that's something because it is a rich
Yeah.
culture, and it's not that people don't know about it. They do know about Garifuna culture. You know what I'm saying? Because there's certain Guatemalans that identify as Garifuna. You know what I'm saying? So like, it's something that is needed, and I don't think it's talked about enough.
I could be the guy in the
So
documentary like that follows you quietly and doesn't say much and just be in the background.
I mean, literally, right? We're gonna call you shadow. I'll public service announcement this right now, though. I am interested in looking for the two shipwrecks in Saint Vincent. So if anybody has any
Oh wow.
possible information regarding that, we have an explorers club where they're interested in helping our Garifuna people, and so they're applying for a grant right now that
Oh, that's
allows us
dope.
this kind of. And so they have access to an explorers club where they can actually go out into the sea. Their last excursion was to the Mariana Trench, which is the deepest part of the ocean so far. So in this
Yeah, I
point,
was
if they're
there.
trying to offer us, I want to at least try to give them a pinpoint that we can have a region to search for these shipwrecks, because that's just the start. You get what I'm
Okay, I
saying?
have a question, Andy. We're not about to go and do the Titanic thing, right?
A bit.
Ah, come on.
You're not going in no submarine.
Wait,
What? Listen. It's not what you know. It's
Oh,
who you
I agree
know.
100%. I agree.
Like, you don't want to go in there,
so you say you're going to
message.
the
As long as I get
Mariana
to see.
trenches?
Huh?
You say you're going to the Mariana trenches? Trench?
No. I'm saying that
That's
was
what
their
they did
last
before.
research.
Yeah, their last excursion.
Have
Oh,
different
cool.
plans. So right now, my goal is to get our shipwrecks um discovered, because then that traces us back not only just from Roatan but back to Saint
Right.
Vincent,
Right.
right? So it's not island, but it brings us back, way back
Yeah. That's dope.
to the. Also understand that with our people, we were never slaves. One thing that gives us the biggest pride, we were never slaves. That ship wrecked before anybody could be enslaved,
Whew.
right? Then they were brought to this land that were held by other people. They could have said but instead they took their language and mixed it with this
Hmm.
language, and now you have a whole bunch of people mixed in together. So that's one thing that we also touched base on um earlier with Garifunas, how going from Saint Vincent, eventually going to Roatan. Roatan was a shitty piece of land. Let's get started. They were meant to die. That was land that could not grow crops that animals could not feed off of. So essentially, we were in a sense exiled and expected to be eradicated. But
Hmm.
our people said nah. Recultivated that land and were able to survive. And now them moving into the major lands, which is where we are, right? Along the pueblos, the
Hmm.
coast, we have access to those natural resources. So a lot of our main traditional foods has what? Plantains, coconut, fish. Alabundiga, tapo, hudutu, all of those have the same ingredients, just made a little differently, right? Because that's what they had access to. A lot of Koreans eat a lot of cold and icy fucking food. That's where they're at in
Yeah.
that world. A lot of Mexicans like to eat corn, right? Mayans had a corn god, and so a lot of their meals surround corn. But where you at is specific to your culture, your traditions, all of that has to do with your identity. We don't know much of that, so we have a lot of fucking salvavidas all over the place. And if Puerto Royale was still
Not
existing, we have a
that.
lot of fucking
Wow.
food.
Mm.
But it's got a group of people who's living in these places that's afraid to grow because of one, extortion, two, don't got the proper knowledge, or three, don't got the right support and
I mean, yeah,
resources,
definitely.
right? So the only thing you're gonna do is what? Trash what you think is
Yeah.
True.
trash. Corrupt that fucking place anyway. So any person who even had a good heart starting and went in, you already see the turmoil and the damage that happened based on the government's hand itself, knowing that the government was never for the Garifunas. Never. Never,
Eh,
Yeah.
never, never. They were responsible or the San Juan massacre, right?
Yo, this
So
dick.
I'm talking too much.
No, I just wanted to ask, like, okay, like, just to try to tie it up. How does it go with like the statement about Garifunas not being American enough? Was that in a positive or negative?
It's not necessarily a positive or
Yeah.
negative. It's just to say our origin, right? That's our background, that trauma, that experience, that's all in our DNA. So to come to America and try to identify with the blacks here as police brutality and all of that, we can say we're proud of it because we're witnessing that here now. But that's not our to sit here and say we were enslaved and we had to jump the broom. That's not our people, baby. That's not our group. We look like it, but that's not our group.
I be
Our
saying
group
that.
came from.
I be saying that. I said I be
Hmm?
saying that. I say it because it's funny. I have a couple of friends, and they're like, like, not to, because I know it's a very sensitive subject for people, but I've had instances where you have friends who are like, look what they're doing, like it's so fucked up, and I'm like, you know, in my deep down in my genes and my ancestors, they fought. They said fuck all this, and they fucking did what they had to do. So when this here and everybody's sad about it, it's like, well, there's more of us than them. Yeah, they might got the guns, but somebody got to do something. How many times you just gonna get kicked down the back?
Yep.
We have Wanagua for that, right? That's the origin of Wanagua for us. That's the men dressing as women to go against the enemy and fight in a war, right? But now it's a dance. That's our origin, right? To identify with a black African American, no, that's not your background. We look alike,
Definitely,
yes. That's not our history.
definitely.
So this is where I would say it does differ because now let's say if this same African American is coming into my home and mommy is cooking this sabrosito
Hmm.
pollo, right? That shit is nice and
Hell yeah.
cebollado. Like,
Hmm.
what you know about sazon? Oh, y'all got sazon too? First of all, papi, slow
Oh,
it down,
for
right?
real.
That's down. Your mom don't even make chuleta like this, and that's just garlic and salt.
And they love the garifo. Well, I'm gonna just say black. I'm gonna just say black Hindus because I've learned something new today. I thought all black Hindus was.
As
I,
long
I thought all black Hindus was garifo now. So I'm like, but when you go to any of these countries, it's the black people that they get their flavoring from, that they get the sabor and the all that goodness from. They learn from the black people, the black inhabitants of the countries. Okay, so
right.
it's funny too, because like when you go to places and you're like, oh yeah, you might say, okay, well, I like tamal de elote, and they're like, oh my god, what you know about that? I'd be like, there's no black people in your country. What you mean? Oh no, it's not that. It's not that. I said, well, why you just automatically think that we wouldn't know about that because of the way I look?
For those Dominicans that swear they're not black, y'all Dominican niggas, y'all black too.
This
And
is
Puerto
where we
Ricans.
appreciate the diverse travels because we can go to different places. We could be in the Bronx, we could be in
Yeah.
Brooklyn, we could be in Texas, and notice the differences and be like, oh nah, that's just like the Bronx, or
Hmm.
this ain't we do in the city, or we don't do that in the
Hmm.
pueblos, right? We have the eye openers to notice the difference and be like, oh shit. Not everything is the same
No.
everywhere. Some people have only been. Y'all realize some people have never left New York?
Yeah, I
Y'all
did.
Yeah,
realize
yeah,
that?
Yeah,
yeah. There's some people that never
Or
left the tri-state area.
which is crazy.
passport. Us, we sitting here like the passport is our
Yeah.
ID. These niggas is like ID. Why do I need a passport? Hijo de puta. You want to get out of here is
Well, you
why.
can't be with me then. I'm sorry. You talk about nah. We just you don't
That's
want
what
to
we
see
don't
nothing. Like
do.
you bugging.
I
And
feel like
we're not a monolith. That's the thing.
mm,
We're not a monolith. We are not just one thing. And I think that's really difficult for people who've been taught and been who have been taught to only be one thing, right? So I think
Yes.
that's why there's always a disconnect. Even like Jamaicans or other black cultures, that's why I think Haitians, I think when we are here in America, it's really hard because American black people are like, well, it should be this way. And it's like, well, we can't relate to that because we ain't grow up like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not my story. Like, I'm not just one thing. I might wake up and I might want to hear La India. I wake up, I might want to hear Vibes. I wake up, I might want to hear freaking Paramore. I'm just
And
not one
you'll wait
thing.
know what to do to every single
You know what
one.
I'm saying?
And
Yo,
I feel like we're the last generation intact with that philosophy though. Meaning
Yeah.
like
but
after we age, most of our kids, like I'm not saying that it's not possible, but let's be honest. The way we grew up and the way we came about the way we are is because of
Mhm.
our parents. Our
Yeah.
parents kind of like introduced us to the culture that we now know and love. But
Yeah.
like most of us, for instance, cuando yo hablo español aquí en el podcast, I'm the only one que lo hace.
Hmm.
Why? Porque no se sienten cómodos hablando español, ¿verdad? Imagínate si no se sienten hablar cómodos,
oh, see,
si
Yeah,
no
I
se
don't.
sienten, si no se sienten cómodos hablando español, imagínate hablando garífuna, es otro pedo, ¿me entendés? So like,
Yeah.
Yes.
right now we already killing our own culture by like even removing Spanish, and at this point,
Mhm.
our kids are gonna go to Honduras and be like, "Yo, I don't want to be here because I don't understand what the fuck they're saying."
Oh no, they finna learn. Fuck that.
Yeah,
even got it from that.
Baby,
yeah, even
baby,
Yo, I
baby,
wanted to
no.
say, yo, we live in the land of the free, but we still need a passport to leave. Is that really free?
Yeah. No. We all know it's not.
I'm gonna leave that right there. Food for thought.
I know my boy Raph may not agree, but you know, we are not free. None of
We
us
not.
are free.
We,
You know, my boy Raph may not agree, but listen, we ain't free. And the more melanated you are, the way more not free you are.
yo, Rafael's about to come back on this
yeah,
podcast real
he's
quick.
about to join up again because he's watching, right, Ralph? Hey,
I know. You know, I fuck with you, Raph. You know, I fuck with you, Wreck-It Ralph. I fuck with you the long way, okay? Because I respect your perspectives. I do. I really do. But I'm gonna tell you, as Black Yana over here, okay, we is not free.
You see, you put American flag.
honestly, like I feel like us not being proud enough of our culture. All love, definitely. I agree with you, bro. All love for sure. Yeah.
All love
I
for
feel
real.
like us not being proud enough of our culture is just creating cultural appropriation of the Garifuna culture. Like
Always.
right now, there's a band called Las Catrachas, right?
Hmm.
I am not racist, or I don't believe in being a racist because I believe that like when somebody try to like copy your culture, it's a way of it's another way of flattery, like
Mhm.
compliments. So everybody knows hands down the best part of Honduras is the Garifuna culture. And I know there's gonna be Indios out there. I know there's gonna be Indios or Latinos out there that are gonna, oh no, we have our own culture too. We got the one, that one with they dance with the indigenous costumes and all that. Yes, I respect that. It's true. But like the rich part of that country, the coastline is inhabited by who? Garifunas.
But now I'll tell you too. When I went to San Pedro Sula, right? When I went with Jaylene, right? Because we were more where she's from.
Yeah.
When I would tell the people like, "Oh, my family's from La Ceiba," they'd be like, "Oh my god, why are you not over there?" Like the way people's eyes lit up when you told them you from La Ceiba, it was crazy. I'm like, yeah, my family's from La Ceiba. Like my mom's mom. Like my grandparents. That's really where when we went to Honduras. That's where we would go to La Ceiba, and the eyes was just like, that's so rich. Like you have like a rich original culture, but I didn't like. It's always been regular. I never really like looked at it like that. You know what I'm saying? So it's just funny to me that you're right. Like most of our, yeah, the culture is at the coast. Like,
Mm-hmm. And,
yeah,
and and we possess that we there's other beautiful parts of Honduras, like in the mainland, like in the east side,
yeah,
the deep country. There are like the Mayans, the Mayans place, like in Ruinas de Copan and all of that. But like I feel like we add a certain essence to our country, to Honduras, that
mhm,
like it's undeniable.
yeah,
And I feel like sometimes when they create cultural appropriation, they don't give the right proper respect to the
Yeah.
culture or the Garifuna culture. I feel like they steal in our music, our dance, and everything, but they don't even give credit to the Garifuna culture. Like I feel like yes, there might be like Garifuna producers behind there or Garifuna artists behind the beats or whatever the
mhm,
case is. But when you look at the video and you see the dancers, all you see is Indios. And I
yeah,
feel like if you're gonna like take advantage of our culture, you should at least showcase at least one Garifuna in your video showing where that culture actually comes from. And that's what I personally, in a way, I have an issue with. I feel like Don't try to like take somebody's a whole culture, a whole society's culture away, and not give that proper representation for where it comes from. And a lot of garifunas now, like especially the garifunas in America, are so lost that they don't even understand how much we're losing. They rather act black or they rather act Jamaican, but when we have our beautiful thing, like even the weddings, like dressing like Nigerians and shit. We have our own clothing. Like we could literally make our shit hot if we really focused on it.
Yeah.
But we don't focus on it. We focus on other people's stuff because we believe their stuff is better than ours when it's not. And I feel like every culture got beautiful things about it. Like Black Americans got hip hop, got R&B, got all the things about it that makes it beautiful. Like
Kwanzaa.
Kwanzaa, basketball. Because I would say basketball is really black now. Like basketball is part of the black
Hey,
culture.
bro. I wanted to piggyback on what you said about cultural appropriation. Like that guy, I think his name is Hamil El Indio Garifuna.
Uh-huh.
Like, how does he get more publicity about our culture, Garifuna culture, than actually Garifuna people? He's the one
Yeah.
that got backlash, I think, 2 years ago. El
Yeah.
Indio Garifuna.
Yeah, I
But
remember I saw it.
I think you see it in all Hispanic cultures. Like even when you think about like reggaeton, when you think about it's the same story of like rock and jazz and blues. It's like it came from black people. You know what I'm saying? But I
Blues.
think that we don't gatekeep as well as we should. That's the problem. When these things get into the hands of people who don't look like us, it's because we didn't do a good enough job of gatekeeping and being like, no, you don't know nothing about that. You don't know nothing about that.
Not even that, our people don't let our people have their moment and
Yeah.
shine. The second they see one person doing well,
They're
is the
jealous.
next person trying to do the same thing and not even trying to be like, all right, I'm gonna give credit to where I saw this.
Yeah.
It's all just like me. I came up with this idea. I'm the one who did it first. Everybody want to be on my wave. Everyone is in competition with each other, and it's like it's all right. There's many singers in the world. There are many
Yeah.
dancers in the world. There are many artists in the world. But it doesn't have to be, well, I started it first, and because this person is copying me, I can't support them now. We are terrible at supporting one
Right.
another. It's always about who one, when realistically speaking, white people don't give a fuck who's the best one. Is as long as white people stay on top. So why can't we do the same thing for our own people? It's not about who's better. It's just as long as we all are
Like
better.
like certain promoters in Houston wanted to throw parties on top of other Garifuna people's parties at the same time. You know what I'm saying? But I'm
Yeah.
gonna just
Oof.
leave that right
Oh,
there.
Oh man, if we open that Pandora box, it's gonna like that's what they're waiting for. They're waiting for like right now the views
shots
are
fired.
low, but if we were
Coming
to
with
open
the
that
heat,
Pandora,
boy.
if we were to open that
Shots fired.
Pandora box, right? That's when the viewers will come in because we will get messy. Like I refuse to surrender and submit to that stigma of going live. It has to be messy. Like I'm not doing
Yeah,
that.
we
Like that's why a lot of these
we gonna
guys,
leave it right there.
that's what
They be waiting.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
what they're waiting for me to be controversial. They want my
Yeah.
platform to become toxic like other people's platform, and I'm not
Yeah.
doing that because I believe that
Nah.
I'm a more level-headed, more upskill Garifuna in the sense that like I know what I'm worth and I know what I'm trying to do, rather than other people that they lost and they just trying to find some clout out of
Yes, sir.
like. I could easily come and
It
talk
be
some shit right now. Like my brother opened that door, I could kick that shit open and
Nah,
start.
nah, a little peak, man. People know what I'm talking
And
about, but we're gonna leave it right there, right, bro?
yeah,
We're gonna
because
leave
you
it right there.
attracting good energy
But
too.
it's just facts.
You
It's
attracting good energy.
facts. It's facts. Like sometimes I do be wanting to say that, like not trying to deviate from what we were speaking of, but it's true. Like I feel that connects to this topic. I feel like when you don't know what you're worth and you don't know what you have, it's easy for you to dismiss it or step all over it because to you it's invaluable. Like I
Yeah.
think who said it earlier, Nandy or somebody or Akina, I forgot who said it, but like basically like I should have wrote it down. How damn it, I wish I would have wrote it down. It was so important.
About
Uh,
value.
it was something about regards to value, like now that you know more. Shit. Uh, but it was gonna
like when you do better.
yeah,
If you know better, you do better.
like when you don't like yeah when you like ignorant to certain things, of course you're not gonna protect it. Fuck, there was a
Yeah.
Gatekeep.
When you
Gatekeep.
don't know the worth of something, you downplay its stature, you downplay its
Value.
value. But when you do know, then you uphold it on that platform, on that standard, and you give it that praise and that
Yeah.
regard.
Look at Banda Blanca. Like Shakino said, like the Indio guy literally has more praise. Like what's his name? Javier. What's his name?
Hamil, I think Hamil.
Yeah, I mean, look. I don't shit on
Shout
the
out to
guy
Hamil,
because
by the way. You know, all
yeah,
respects to the guy.
yeah, I don't shit on Hamid. I don't have nothing against him. I don't know him personally. I've never met the guy. But like one thing that is for sure is that he knows a lot about the culture more than a lot of other Garifunas. Let's be honest with that. There's a lot of Garifunas, including myself, that I don't know more than Hamid does. Hamid knows way more than a lot of Garifunas, and that's what a lot of Garifunas have a problem with. They see a guy that's an Indio, obviously, that dances better than most Garifunas, that what else? That's just better, knows about the culture, goes around all the Garifunas and is respected by some Garifunas. And then he's Indio, so he's automatically loved and respected by the Indios. So like
Yeah.
for Garifunas to step into that world and be like, yo, I'm here, this is what I can do. Most Indios are not attracted to that because of racism. Is the
Yeah.
truth.
We
So
almost had an artist who almost broke through. He was working with Faruco. What was his name? Damn, what was his name?
El
you
Menor.
talk El
El
Menor.
Menor.
El
What happened
Menor.
to El Menor?
I mean, to be honest, to me, El Menor is still there. He's still there. He's work.
Legal got into
Lo
illegal shit where
pataron.
he wasn't. He was like, it's like his music was going through what Aaliyah's music went through, although she wasn't here
Yeah.
to like see that. Her uncle was just like, yeah, that's what his label was doing it to him
Because once he got
is
him,
through
once he
the
was with
grapevine.
Faruco, I said, "Oh, it's lit. We on the map. We on the map." And then it just never went nowhere.
Yo, I got a classic line from El Menor. El aceite y el agua no se puede mezclar. Todos desaparece con facilidad. Hey, that's my nigga.
And that's exactly what happened to him.
El
I'm not
hey.
look for anybody that I'm not hating on Menor. I like Menor's music. I've been listening since I was a kid.
That's my bro.
But we're talking about where he's at, like with his career right now. When he first came into like the mainstream, let's call it mainstream for now.
Yeah.
He was hot. He was hot for like I would say a year to 2 years. He was coming with the
Yeah.
heat, and then like Nandy just explained, so he probably had legal issues behind the scenes that he kind of like fucked up or somebody fucked him up, and he had to like move away and do what he had to do for him. Cool. But once you do something like that, sometimes your fire dies down because once you move away, here comes the next hot artist right behind you. Look,
Yeah, because you know who else do I like? I like what's his name? Damn,
el,
what's his name?
el dólar KK.
KEKE. That's my nigga.
So
That's
el
nigga.
dólar came here mojado. El dólar vino a los Estados Unidos mojado.
Oh,
Well,
really?
that's what I heard, right? I don't know,
I
so él vino mojado para acá, but he's here already.
That's my shit.
Nah. Yankee 212, yo.
I
Shout out to Yankee
I,
212.
I like I like
No me
I
estén
like
comparando, no saben la furia de pegarme que yo ando, me siguen
No.
criticando,
and who's the other one?
hablando de mí y gastando
You
su
know,
saldo. Hey, let's
Boom, boom,
go.
boom.
Shout out to
yeah,
Yankee,
he
yo.
got some bangers. I love KK. I love KK. I ain't gonna hold you.
Yo no sé quién es
We
Keke,
were supposed
pero
to go
okay.
to one of his concerts. I think it was in San Pedro Sula, but then we was like, but Jaylene's cousin was like, nah, because that shit gonna get shot up. We ain't going. That's it was.
Oh, that's
Man,
that fake Crip guy? Nah, let me chill, bro.
is he
I,
good?
Those are dangerous words.
know all of our people want to be Crip
Yeah.
because the
What's that
color of the
about?
flag.
What's that about? Oh, that's why. Okay.
yeah, that
It's not even origin for what Bloods and Crips really are. It's just the color of the
yeah.
Oh
flag.
wow. When
They don't really.
when I used to go to Hondu Parade, I'm like, shit will break out all the time talking about what's Crips. I'm like, how do we know about Crips? We are hunted. Why
Yeah,
are we been gang setting?
yeah. It's because like that's an issue that our culture has and our society has.
Yeah.
Somos muy copiones. I feel
Yeah.
like for instance, when I go to Hondu parties nowadays, most Hondu parties they barely play punta now. They barely play
Wow.
paranda. I swear to God, most of the time they play just like straight Jamaican music or Afro beats. So
Yeah.
like it's like don't get me wrong, I listen to everything, but once
But wait, do you recognize the difference of the music that came out back then? Even if it was you know with you get a little two step in it, you like
Yeah.
they don't make music
They
like that
don't. They
no
really
more.
don't. The
Right?
music has really
Studio
changed.
Brown, my pussy so pink, all of that shit. You're not dancing to that. Everyone has the same. No one has a percussión that's like, ooh, that make you put that nasty face. And that's where we're at, where it's like, no, we're not playing Garifuna music because everyone's doing the same shit. Wale agua, wale agua.
I
Wow.
agree.
You
I
got a point.
agree.
Hey,
Honestly,
She got a point.
prima, talking about percusión and tambores. Can you like tell me again about how some people don't know what they really bringing into this world when they play certain tunes out there, like in the
Hell
park?
yeah, you bringing the spirits in. What the
You heard,
fuck?
prima?
Hear me?
You heard what I asked you?
Of
I
course.
bet.
So, like, where you want me to start out with
Go
that one?
ahead. You know the vibes.
we'll start off with what?
So, with the
With the
drums
tambores.
and like,
With
Like,
certain
You
tunes
could
that these
you could
people are
feel
playing
it.
at in parks when they're not supposed to play certain tunes that they
Yeah.
know that bring entities and whatnot
Yes, but you
in
could
the
feel the
world.
difference. You could feel the pull too when it's not a good one versus a bad when it's versus a bad one and a good one. Because when you really in tune, you like, nah, I'm not about to go out and dance to that shit. I'm gonna stay right here and watch everybody because I don't know what the hell they figure they finna invoke. I'm not doing.
not even aura change.
yo,
It's just,
I honestly think like the respect behind the music, the culture has left. Like I remember my grandma went to a party. Oh yeah, my grandma went to a party when she was here, and she was like, la manera que estos muchachos bailan la música garífuna ya no tiene ningún tipo de gracia. Antes las mujeres antes no se agachaban o no se hacían todos esos quiebres vulgares.
Yeah,
And
there's no,
honestly,
there's no respect.
yeah,
Mm.
and then
you,
sorry, it's like some of this, especially let's go with the ladies.
Okay.
Some of these women have no delicadeza, no self respect, no nothing. They be going in front of the tambor and they be putting their whole pepa in front of the tamborista.
Yeah, they take that. That's like the new thing now. They be like this
Le pone
with
la
the leg
cuca al
up.
tamborista. I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
that our
that's
ancestors didn't dance punta o paranda like that.
No.
Nah,
It's
nah,
like,
nah, yeah. O con las
it,
piernas abiertas.
Well, you know what's so crazy? I get uncomfortable when they start bumping and grinding to the punta.
oh, that's even worse.
I start my shoulders. I be like clenching my pearls. I'm like, I don't think we supposed to be doing that. But okay,
not the
I be
pearls.
clenching them. I'm like,
We have a question. We have a question.
Mm-hmm.
got each for that music recommend. This is cool. How did you get this going on here like this?
Yo, Rafael, I got you, bro. Don't worry. Shit. I'll put
I
you
got a
on,
whole
bro.
playlist. I could send him a whole playlist.
Yes,
Shit,
Nah,
yes.
put
you know
him on.
what? My shit is
Oh,
more like
there's a app called Wemu, WEMU, and it's nothing but Garifuna music on there. You can't download from
okay.
there, but access to all the old school Stiti Man, all of them that you can even think of. You can access that music on Wemu.
But
Wow.
yeah, like yendo otra vez para la conversación de los espíritus. Uh, um, yo siento que la mayoría de los tamboristas ahora they're not really in tune like with the culture aspect of the drummings like they used to be. Like some
Yeah.
of them, they probably like the beat and they be like, "Oh, fuck it, let me start doing the beat because it's cool." But
Yeah.
they don't know the significance behind it. You know?
No.
So into let's get into the significance. We understand that the base of the drums and punta. That's right. This is why punta was done barefoot and on the ground. This is our grounding. So that bass that you hear, this is why the drum has to be tilted. That vibration goes from the feet and
Mm-hmm.
up, which goes with the movement, right? Punta back in the day was not children were not allowed to dance punta, let alone even see it. That was a dance for the adults. It was considered a vulgar dance,
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
right? So when it comes to the garang and playing that, especially like in certain parks and things like that, certain parts have not been cleansed. And when I mean cleansed, I mean spiritually cleansed. And so when people are just bringing out the drums and playing them in any environment for any situation, they're not privy to the fact that they're evoking certain spirits or certain entities into that realm. They're inviting that you're calling. That's pretty much what it
Mm-hmm.
is. The drum is a call. What it is a conversation between instruments. And so these spirits, we'll call them, or beings, answer to these drums. And so depending on the person that's playing it, the intent behind it, all of that plays effect into what happens while these people are dancing to this music. So it's like you'll end up seeing, for example, auras change in these certain parks or whatever. St. Mary's, Ferry Point. Um, what's the other one? Starlight is another one. So you'll see right now, for example, this is a conversation that I had with a
Fortuna.
pastor from a priest nation. They were like they had to do a certain spiritual cleansing to Kelly Park. Y'all know Banana Kelly, Waporo,
Yeah,
Mhm.
well,
here in the
yeah.
Bronx Park. They had to do a cleansing there because of all of the killings that were happening
Right.
there. Now y'all remember they'll still have tambores now and things like that, but you see nothing happens in Waporo,
Mm.
whereas in Fair Point, St. Mary's, all of these places, the stabbings, the shootings, all of that shit ends up
That's
happening,
I
true.
never thought
right?
about
Because
that. Crotona Park. I never thought about that.
anything that happens around Waporo is usually around Waporo, right? The most recent one was the death that happened they got across the street, right? So there's things that are gonna happen, but it's understanding what you're evoking
I
with your
never even thought
intent.
about that. Wow.
Your door, you're opening a portal when it comes to that. So I again not understanding the origin, not understanding the history. You're opening certain doors because our people are very spiritual led
Yeah.
people. We're cast and garifunas and everything else in between. So you're understanding what you're bringing in, which is why we all get say for example, if we're drinking gifiti or anything like that, you feel a certain difference than you would if you're drinking just henny or
Hmm.
vodka, right? Connection, that little rootedness that you have within you. So we're all um operating on our lower
Hmm.
chakras, right? Reality of it as opposed to our higher
Hmm.
self. And so again, if you're gonna play the drums, you got to play with that intent of bringing that higher vibration,
Yeah.
we'll call it. Our people playing in low vibration, so we live in that low vibration, and low vibration it happens because we're operating on lower
Yeah.
self, not our,
Mm.
and it doesn't. We're inducing other things, substances, coke, weed, alcohol, whatever is your preference. All of those things play into effect, and then not at whatever you might be carrying at that time. Our people carry a lot, right? Una, right? Pain. We have a lot, not just in our lives, but what our people have already went through
Mhm.
that's being carried along.
Yeah.
So you're having certain experiences that feel like they don't belong to you, yet this is something that we are here to fix, right? This is something we play into effect now. This is why it's being brought to us at the time that it is, divine timing.
Oof.
Oh yeah.
Damn.
And not only the drums invoke entities, also the maracas. Maracas are an
Yeah.
invitation, especially when you play it a certain way. It's inviting them as well to come in
Hmm?
and whatnot. Hmm.
Person, we understand that certain people are a little easier to catch a spirit than the next, right?
Hmm.
If someone's deciding to just have a percusion moment, not knowing that a certain bouye is around, you're welcome. Now you currently started a session, right? Nobody was ready. Nobody's in uniform. No one has the proper
Right.
respect for these spirits. So what you think is gonna happen? The best?
Yeah.
I totally agree. I honestly like we have to. I feel like people like you, Nandy, the next generation, like our generation, are very knowledgeable about the matter.
Right.
I
Right.
I feel like we should do a better job in trying to teach the ones that come in after us, the ones like in the early 20s or the teenagers, because I feel like I wish I was more knowledgeable about it because I would do it because it's needed. Our culture is definitely beautiful, and I would like
Yeah,
it to keep
rich and
going.
rich, and
Yeah,
we walk with a lot of ancestors around us. We walk with a lot of power around us. I don't think everybody knows that.
To
yeah.
wrap up what Nandy
Yes.
said, like there is certain songs that are sang or certain beats that are played in chugus or dugus that are not supposed to be played in parties or in parks. That's it.
Talk about. Thank you. And we got people just throwing
So
it around like the word nigger.
how do we even make that mainstream with these people so they understand the mechanics and also the severity of what they're playing? Because they just trying to make people dance. They're not even realizing what they're doing.
Well, some of them are gonna learn the hard way because they know they're not supposed to be playing shit like that out
Mm.
there.
I
Like
agree.
Andy
As a
said, all the
matter of
shootings, all the
But it makes sense. I never
nah,
realized that when they was doing that, that those things will follow. I never even correlated that together, right? Because if you're gonna play those tunes, play the tunes that are gonna cleanse us and clear our crown. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Not the things that are going to, like you said, put us in a lower vibration. Cleanse us. Make it a cleansing. Make it something like we are at the coast and we are with our real Garifuna people and they're cleansing us. You know what I'm saying? Heal us if we're all going to be together collectively.
So this is what we're saying right now, right? We didn't know that there's a proper healing that comes with just this one instrument that we all have access to, right? We're looking for healing in other
Mm-hmm.
things that have nothing to do with our culture when it's always been with us, right? So
Mm-hmm.
if it takes a matter of playing a little punta for the day, or whatever you're feeling in that moment, hunga, it's to bring that healing out of you. So to answer your question, I would say you treat every moment, every single day, no matter your age, no matter your experience, as if it were a
Mm-hmm.
child, right? Pure innocence and a matter of knowledge, right? The wisdom is going to come with that person's experience, but you only come to educate,
Mm-hmm.
right? The things that we do, that's our karma. Our dharma is to teach
It's right.
what we did, how to get the best out of it pertaining to that individual, because not every person is right. We can't tell you don't touch the fire because that's only going to
That's
make
a
you
fact.
want to touch the
Right.
fire.
Right.
But it is hot and it will burn you, and this is what can happen. You now have the choice to say, I want to dip my hand all the way in there, I want to just tap it, or I don't want to deal with that shit at all, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
The choices, you don't always like the choices that we have, but you always have the
That's
choice. So when it comes to our history, I would say explaining it thoroughly as much as you can and as much as you know, and if not, do it so you can tell our story, because our story has to be told. Our people has to know it's dying, right? The language is dying, and
Especially
that
the
is one
language.
of the richest that ever exists, and it doesn't exist in textbook, right?
mm-hmm.
We've paid hundreds of dollars for textbook, going to college, checking the American boxes, but yet our culture, we still haven't been able to find in all of that
Yeah.
knowledge, right? Now, when it comes to educating just our own people, how can we expect them to know so much when we ourselves don't know so
Mm-hmm.
much? So it one, starts with the self, two, then spreading
That's
that
not
knowledge,
right.
three, have a choice to do what you want, right? With that,
Right.
right? Wounded or needs to be wise. Either which will make yourself knowledgeable and gives you more options, that gives you more choice,
Right.
as opposed to no, and that shit don't sound right anyway. So I'm gonna just shoot everything away as a whole, because that's what it sounds like. What Garifunas are doing as a whole anyway. I don't know, so out of sight, out of mind.
Right.
Talking about knowledge, cause shout out trying to spread that love out
Yeah,
What's
there.
that?
Like it's
book.
one of the Garifuna learning books, created by Luz F.
Where you
Solis.
got that from?
You know,
Amazon? Where you got that from?
uh, I forgot, but I'll get back to you
Yeah,
on
let
that
me
one.
know. Let me know.
But shout out to the Garifuna knowledge. Like we're trying to keep our culture alive, and people like the Dr. Sabi family. So shout out to
Yeah,
y'all as well. Or people
yes,
like
and then
Nandy's mother as well, singing the culture. So
Mm-hmm.
these songs being passed down from my. Did y'all know that most of the songs that we listen to, at least in like Paranda, these are not songs that were
it's
written.
folk tales,
These are like
stories.
these are just songs being passed down from ear to ear to
Mm-hmm.
ear. So who's to say that we're hearing it originally how it was
Yeah.
first sang? You know what I'm saying? But these are like Kaita song. Kaita na mula loa
Mm-hmm.
gamba benerum. That's my grandmother talking to my mother about her choice being with my father, right? That is that she's singing, but it's to herself, right? And this is that we all with based on our own upbringing and what partnerships might look like. We now have that song in our lineage, right? Passed down amongst many other songs that have lasted.
Enma Melendez, thank you for joining us. Thank you so much. And if you don't mind, please share the video. Compartan el video, por favor, la persona que están con nosotros. Gracias, gracias. And yes, we do have good conversations and deep conversations.
Yeah, this is
And
real knowledgeable.
and that's why a lot of people don't tune in, because we're not talking stupid nonsense. So so anyways, thank you for the few that actually tuned in. Thank you for the 10 of y'all. I really appreciate it. From 10, hopefully we go to 50, from 50 to 100 one day. But
Yeah, it should
let's
be more Garifunas in there.
We
so
will.
Getting the
We
word out
will.
step by step. Poco a
Sí,
poco.
compartan el video, mi gente, por favor, compartan el video. Like I always say, share the video, share the video.
Come
But
on,
yes,
learn something.
And
Learn something. Soak
yeah,
it up.
y'all know classes from Casa Yurume, they offer Garifuna classes online. So if y'all interested in learning Garifuna, I believe the gentleman who teaches is he goes to Milton. So if anyone is looking for Milton, he teaches Garifuna online offered by Casa Yurume. So you look into that.
and here we go, people. Now I want to go to the next segment that we were
Mhm.
supposed to speak about because I love that we were speaking about this. But now I want to switch it up a little bit. Okay, here we go. This is a topic that I've been wanting to touch. What's up? What's up with the psychology behind women always expecting men to cover everything, but then they still want to wear the pants. They still want to be the man, but they
Oh,
want the
I don't
man
know
to
nothing
cover.
about that. I don't know nothing about that. Yeah.
No, okay, look at you. Like, nah, let me stop. No. But I wanted to speak as a psychology behind the like our older generations not seeking help, not seeking therapy, and having that traumas that they didn't help out roll down to the next generations. That's what I wanted to talk about.
They were in survival mode. I feel like I don't think they had time. I think we have a lot more time on our hands. I think that we're not having kids as fast and getting married as fast, so it leaves us with time to kind of check in with who we are and give us time to really be like, well, why, what traumas happened to me, and why is it making me act this way or react to different problems like this? Why is my conflict resolution so horrible? It's nature versus nurture, right? Like, it's funny, me and my mom were talking yesterday, and one thing I've noticed with my past relationships is that I would try to motivate them the way that my parents tried to motivate me. And it was sometimes negative, like, oh, you're not going to do this. You're not going to be this. You're not going to be that. And I would translate it over to my relationships in a way to motivate them, because everybody that said I wasn't going to be shit, guess where I'm at now, Noka? But that don't work for everybody. That doesn't work for everybody. So you have to learn, like, it's about undoing. But my opinion is that I think our families, our parents just didn't have the time. They were uh, they already were getting married young. They were having kids young. It was three, four, five of us, sometimes even more. What time do you have to really sit back and really learn yourself?
True, I
And you get
agree.
stuck in that trauma. If you have kids at 18 and you get married at 18, technically that is when your childhood ended. So wherever you were at that time is where you stay at. That's why you have some people who do, the kids get older or they get divorced and then they want to go out into the street like they're 25. That time
True,
came and passed, baby.
true.
Because they still
Let
live in the past.
Yeah, your time to be a hoe passed. Now you can't be a hoe now. Like you had that time.
Who said who said hoe comes with an age range?
Facts, yo.
That part too.
There's still beer hands out there
This
that's
is
still
the
hoes.
perfect time.
Honestly,
And
I'm
nobody wants to know their
telling this.
shadow too. Like, the minute you take yourself out and you look at your shadow side, that means there's some shit you're not gonna like about yourself.
true.
And that's really hard for people, especially like our parents.
Yeah,
That's hard for them to be like, you
that
didn't do everything right. For them to sit back and really be like, did I not do everything? They don't want to do that shit. Well, you survived. You're here now. So I did something right.
honestly, like I feel like I started laughing. Yo, we stupid, yeah, especially me. Anyways,
we
uh,
Murmur over there.
got our own.
yeah, Dandy, like, since when does being a hoe come with a
Like we can't even be serious about our own trauma. No, I think we come from a long line of hurt and a long line of pain, right? So not to exclude the men because I think these are two separate topics, but it's still on the same
Yeah,
wound, right? So tell me if this sounds familiar. We got a bunch of women who weren't knowledgeable, right? They don't know the shit that we know now, the
Mm-hmm.
memes that we here to know how much we have in common and like, oh, that happens in your house too, right? They didn't have those things back then. Everything was what happens in this house stays in this house. We all know now that a lot of the things that were happening behind closed doors should not have been
Mm-hmm.
happening, right? From a generation of hurt women that are looking for love and escape, right?
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of looking for what's the instant
Mm-hmm.
pleasure, right? Sex, right? If it wasn't drugs, it
Yeah.
was sex. So she's gonna be a righteous woman. She's gonna choose the man who appears to be the provider, the one that's gonna take care of her. The problem is that although he might look like he can take care of
Mm-hmm.
you, his character is something completely
That
different, which is
part.
what they, by the time they've already decided he is going to be the one that takes care of me and gives me a family, there's also another fault or flaw in there that's like he should not be the one, right? He has his own pain, but no one is paying attention to that because we're all on the same page. They were all on the same page of, you're gonna experience mishaps in life. Life is just unfair. You deal with
Yeah.
it, right? You don't complain about it, don't tell nobody about it. You just deal with it. So they end up trying to get out of these houses. These men are just using them as tools because let's be real, men are not as emotionally intelligent or in tune as women are. It's not that they're not, it's just not as much as
Mm-hmm.
women. So when it comes to her needing that being in a satisfactory level, she's already being drained because of
Ooh.
her having to be like S, taking care of the cubs, feeding the cub, taking care of home, while Big Papa Lion is just getting to lay down. Why? Because he's conserving his energy for the big tackles, right? For the side, for the bigger animals. That's not Mama's job. That's Lion's job. But everyone has to understand that Papa's job is not going to be Mama's
Mm-hmm.
job, right? My hand is not supposed to do what my foot does. They have their own functions, and together we're able to accomplish
Right.
something. Wasn't that much of a understanding when it comes to teams and partnerships with our people at that time. It was get out of your house. He's supposed to take care of you. You do your part, and you don't say nothing about any of the adversities you're gonna face, right? So now, when it came to our mothers, they they knew something was wrong.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't know what, but they were still following the only
Ooh.
thing that they
Yeah.
knew was you provider, because your mom is not going to take care of you no more, and your father probably not either.
Mm-hmm.
So is that, doesn't matter about his character, is that nigga. So now it's this family being raised with all of these traumas, these problems, but they're only worsening because no one's really
Yep.
improving it, right? Like, let's be real. So then you have this firstborn who 9 times out of 10 was raised with the grandmother, right? So they go with that older sibling that's like the extra parent to the rest of the group because mom wasn't ready to take care of that firstborn. And grandma knew, so grandma took that firstborn as the baby, right? And then later on, when mommy was ready and she already had another team of a family formed, that older one now has to take care of that clan. So there's nothing but resentment going on. Everybody who's in they wasn't ready for or signed up for.
Yeah.
And then we supposed to like each other because they said so.
Ooh.
That's your sibling, your brother. You supposed to they don't fight. So you're forcing these relationships. This is just forced relationship after forced relationship after forced relationship with people who didn't even know themselves to know how to maneuver in these
Or be
relationships.
valued, because you have to be valued in these relationships. It doesn't matter about blood. Sometimes you have to be valued in the relationship.
Yeah.
It's
But
like
that comes from
The
knowing
time
self.
the
That comes from knowing self and what you're gonna accept and what you're not gonna accept.
and I didn't know. So
like I, wa-
I felt
I want to go back to that part that like the that statement about like men not being emotionally intelligent, yeah,
intelligent.
and all of that. I feel like for the most part, yes, like gene wise or DNA, whatever, we are not kind of in a way meant to be that way. But like, look what's happening now. Like, more men are trying to be more open to that. More men are trying to
Right.
be more romantic and
Yeah.
care for their women and all of that. And what's happening? Oh, men are becoming sassy. Men are
I've never
becoming.
not had a romantic man. Let me just say that. I've never not
Chivalry
had
is
a
not dead, ladies.
yeah,
There's still
romance
yeah.
is
people out
not dead.
here holding
I
doors
think
and shit.
that you have to make sure they're not being fake about it, right? Because some people, also with men, sometimes they do things so they want to get something out of you, or they just say what you want to hear because I think that's what women want. But um, I don't think romance is dead. I think it depends on. I don't think romance is dead. I think it depends on who you're dealing with, and
Yeah.
background has a lot to do with it. It
Right.
does. Like the way you grew up and what you saw has a lot to do with it.
Mhm.
And I think men, I think there's this men and women are have masculine and feminine energies.
True.
It's about which one you tap into more. I think women, I'm gonna speak about Black women. I think Black women are very much tapped into their masculine energy because they have never really had a chance. I think, like Nandy said, it's trickled down, and trickling down is that they've always watched their moms be in this masculine energy, which also causes men who've also watched their moms be in masculine energy to be like, "Well, you got it. My mama did
True.
it,
That's true.
but it
That's
wasn't right that your mama did it. Your
Yes,
mom should have did it."
it's
But the
funny.
action,
It's funny because I actually, you hit the nail on the head with that one, Kiki. Because I felt like that for so long. Like I always kept that was my problem initially in the dating game. That was my psychological issue when it came to dating. I felt like I used to compare a lot of my exes to my mom in the
mm-hmm,
sense that my mom is a go getter. My
mm-hmm,
mom knows how to dress well. My mom is educated. My mom went to college and all this and that.
yeah,
So the standards for me, what I saw growing up, was so high that sometimes I feel like it was unreachable to certain women that I was dating.
yeah,
And I learned how to like separate that now, where like I don't
mm-hmm,
try to compare, like for instance my wife or anything. That stopped a
yeah,
long time ago. But I used to have a problem with that because I was like, my mom got me used to a woman that's well spoken,
mm-hmm,
a woman that knows how to dress, a
mm-hmm,
woman that's fierce physically. My mom, like, oh, to this day, my mom could still work out for a whole hour without stopping. So
right,
when you grow up like that, it's hard to double back and be like, damn, okay, let me settle for this. You know,
yeah,
like that's what you said. Like, oh, we grow up with that mentality. Like, oh, my, like she got it, cause my mom got it. It's a sense of like you want to worry about the bigger things. Like for instance, I want to worry about my mortgage. I want to worry about that car note and all of that. And then Lacey could probably worry about the cell phone, like that,
yeah.
like something. I worry about the big.
Partnership,
Yeah,
partnership.
exactly. And sometimes, a lot of times when a man walks into a relationship like that, like women don't understand the psychological background behind it too. Like we weren't allowed to cry, as we always heard, oh, los hombres no lloran. So of
Yeah,
course,
that's the
you
problem.
get you gotta hold that shit in. You gotta show like, yo, fuck that. We're not gonna show no emotions. So how you go from growing up with no emotions, I mean borderline no emotions, right? To like now you gotta like open up, be sensitive, learn how to read women, and women are already complicated as they are. So it's like we almost like are set up to fail. Our go ahead.
I feel like Garifuna men have been violated from the start. I feel like there's a, and not just Garifuna men, but I feel like colored men of color have been violated from the start. And what I mean by that is like, we hear a lot of stories that girls have been touched, little girls have been violated,
Mm-hmm.
but we don't talk about that enough with the men.
I've said that before
And I
too.
feel
Mm-hmm.
men are not valued enough which is why when it comes out, I feel like it's automatically shamed, which is big facts unfair, because I feel like if us women get to feel and get to have these unstable moments and expect the man to not only be able to manage it, but know how to delegate that for us, why are we not allowing them the same safe space
Yes.
I think we, I,
if we're
I think we do.
required our protectors and our providers? Because at the end of the day they got to be a certain level of stable. So this is where I come from, where there's men and then there's women, right?
Mm-hmm.
Women has their function, men have their
Mm-hmm.
function. A man should not be trying to breastfeed, a woman should not be trying to crib, right? If she can,
Mm-hmm.
great. If he can, great. But it doesn't mean that you're taking the other person's position. You're just filling in where you can
Yeah,
for your chosen partner that will work, right?
partnership. Yeah.
But yes, it's understanding that everyone has their
Mm-hmm.
place. And I think that women, we're coming from this line of hurt
Mm-hmm.
women who have already taught us this independence, right? So you won't have to need a man. And this is where we're coming from now. A lot of women who feel like, I'm good without him if I don't need it.
Nah,
Like I can do it
I'm
myself.
never gonna say that
Feel the,
shit.
you see, you
Never.
have some women who are already know I that man to do the man job. But then there's some that's like, I'd rather not ask for help because we still not up on that either. And I'm gonna just do it myself, right? Learn helpless. I'm gonna just do it myself, or it's just not gonna get done. Where we're still not even be able to, we can't move forward from that either because no one can identify the fact that they still need help.
Yeah.
So now when it comes to the men asking for help, there's no space for that. There's no platform for that because the man is already supposed to have it together when that's the furthest thing from the truth. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like when it comes to the men being able to take care of the woman, we are already emotionally compact, whereas a man doesn't know how to compact that yet himself and organize that, where women will bring that to a man. I feel like that's our job as women, to be able to bring a man to himself,
Mhm.
whereas a man brings a woman to her body and her surroundings of
And
her
I
body,
agree
right?
with you.
Being
I agree, but he has to be ready for that. You know, like I've dated people where maybe on the back end they're like, "Damn, you
oh,
was right," but when I was right in front of them, they couldn't hear the message of what I was trying to say. And like I always say to like Samyal, and I've said to Shakina, was like, as a woman, if I'm resourceful and I'm doing it as a woman, you should be 10 times more resourceful than me because it's a man's world. And I can feel bad for you, but how we are going to problem solve? What is the plan after you are feeling what you're feeling, and you have a right to feel how you feel, and you should probably get therapy for it because that's what I do. What is your next plan of action? Are you just going to keep going from bed to bed and just hoping it goes away, because that's what they
Mm-hmm.
do?
True, true.
They try to heal through going from bed to bed, from woman to woman, not realizing that they're repeating cycles. So you leave this woman and you repeating the same cycle with the next woman, and you repeating, and you wondering why you keep coming up short, or why you don't have no peace. Because while you're trying to find peace, the way you try to find peace is by collecting more energies onto you. So you don't even know if it's your energy or their energy or the 21.
but isn't it job to be able to bring this to their attention? So I'm like, this is where I say this is our job, to make them emotionally intelligent, because if a woman knows that about herself, we can then explain that to him. He's not going to know that by himself.
I
We know
have. I
this.
think from my own experience, I have, and they just were not ready to. You can drink. You can lead a horse to water, but that doesn't mean they're gonna drink it. I've been there.
Right, right. But it's still it's still our duty to
Yeah.
teach them. It's not to say he was right with you. It's just you open the door to that for
Yes,
him now,
definitely.
and then them start speaking on it. It's only gonna build from there for him to
Yeah.
want to be a better man, right? That's what every man goes through. Every relationship makes them better, not because the woman improved him to be, but because she shamed him into it.
Mm,
She shamed him, and I think that's what leaves a lot of a sour taste when these relationships end,
yeah.
because we're trying to shame into growth when we're supposed to love into
Yeah, I've
growth,
definitely
right?
shamed into
And
growth.
love,
I've definitely done that.
love highest level of acceptance. Hear it. Understanding and acceptance. That has nothing to do with agreeing or
I like,
disagreeing, right?
like
It's whatever you are, it is what it is. We know that phrase, right? So if you are who you are, and I'm choosing to understand you, accept you fully and
You're
thoroughly,
right.
that's
You're
love.
right.
You gonna do
it is.
every day.
You're right.
We're not
You're
perfect.
right.
Say that if I'm gonna understand that, I'm gonna work with what you got, and in whatever time frame that has its improvements, whether it lines up with me or
That part.
not, I have the. We gonna continue. I'm gonna keep feeding into it. Up right here, and you could go in another pathway, right? But your path is not gonna end with me, and my shit is not gonna end with you
And just
either.
having
But we gonna
vulnerability
end.
too, being vulnerable. I think what you just said two things, like acceptance, understanding, and vulnerability. And I think those are three
Vulnerable.
things that, like, because men and women are gonna fuck up. But I think that's when communication comes in. Is like, I really don't like when you do this. It doesn't make me feel good. I don't feel like that's encouraging to me. I feel like that's beating me down. And it's like, okay, now you have to have enough emotional intelligence to take a step back and really think about how you are portraying this message of, instead of shaming, are you really shaming them into it, or are you really loving them into growth? And I think that you have to go through a few things to kind of step back and realize, you know what, I didn't always love people through growth. I shamed them through growth, but that takes accountability.
Yes.
Yes. Right?
Wow, Kiki,
You
that's
have to.
crazy.
That takes a lot of accountability. It does, and people don't want to be accountable. It's just easier to just be like, well, that's your problem, and I'm me, and that's just the way I am. No, that's not true.
I also want to add. I want to add. When it comes to that part about men, like how we are supposed to have. We have. There's a stigma that men is supposed to have it all together, right? And how relationships nowadays, like it's hard to be on the dating pool because there aren't any quality men or women nowadays. But think about it, like a lot of people say that like back in the days, the grandmas generation, right? Like
Mhm.
they were like, they would cook, they would do this and that, and then some people that would come back and be like, well, they also used to get beat They also didn't have rights. Most of the time, they weren't allowed to do certain things. Yes, it's true. I completely agree with that. So I like the fact that nowadays it's more in a level playing field when it comes to like women don't take no shit. But with that also comes the disrespect in another level where like I
Yeah.
literally seen some good men. Like I swear to God, I seen some good ass men that really trying to have it together, do the right thing. Nigga, you a bitch. And I've
Well,
and,
well,
and I've
I mean,
seen that
where there's
multiple
light, there's
times.
dark too. We got to remember, where there's light, there's dark. You know what I'm saying? So it could be a good man, but he's attracting the dark because there's a deep seated feeling that you want to be healed by somebody. You don't know subconsciously you want to be healed. So the dark, you're gonna attract. If you are light and you are a good person, you're gonna attract some dark shit. And that whether they change to the light is dependent on the dynamic of the relationship. But it's almost like, I don't want to go into science, but it's almost like when you have something really salty and you need water to go into it to kind of level it out. You know what I'm saying? So there are good men, and you'll never hear me say all men are ain't shit. I will never say that, because I do believe there's really good men out there. I just feel like the good men and the good women haven't found each other. And maybe they're not meant to. Maybe it's supposed to be a collective healing going on, but we have to be ready to drink the water.
And this is gonna tell you what I'm about to say next. My grandmother told me. I remember that if she remembers because she's had issues with her memories. But my grandmother with dead ass said to me, "Nieto, hombres como tu abuelo no hay."
Ooh.
Él era un hombre de pie a cabeza, bien centrado. Él sabía lo que él quería desde en su vida. Él sabía qué tipo de mujer que quería. Él aventuró, y aunque él aventuró, él todavía regresó a buscarme a mí, aunque yo lo había rechazado a él.
Mm-hmm.
She told me that like how my grandfather was so solid when it came to like what he was, or who he was.
Mm-hmm.
And I admire that. I grew up with that mentality. I grew up with Don Calixto, and he taught me how to be a man. He taught me like the essence of what a man is: taking care of the responsibilities, respecting your women all day. Like my grandfather never disrespected my grandmother in our eyes. I don't know about Shaq, but I never saw my grandfather lift one finger to my grandma ever, or call her out of her name. I never heard grandpa's call her a bitch, a hoe, a
Mm-hmm.
zorra, none of that. And we lived in Honduras for 13 years, and I
Yeah.
never saw that. So then I come to the United, I come
Yeah.
to, I come to the United States of America. I come with this idea of how a relationship is gotta be, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
my grandfather would go to the potreros, take care of the cows, and take care of the
Yeah.
hard duties, and grandma would be at home doing the breakfast, lunch, and dinner, making sure that
Mm-hmm.
everything is set in the house, taking care of us, the grandkids. So I
We
come
all
here,
saw. I saw the same dynamic.
and now it's like things have changed so drastically. Where like, what happened that like women in a way just literally want to take everything to themselves. Like they don't. I feel like they don't even
They went to
care
work. They went to work.
about. Like they don't even care about like how can finding the right person, in the sense that like take your time. Why rush? Take your fucking time. There's no need for it. If you want to fuck around, that's fine. But like don't give your soul and your heart to somebody that you don't even know like that. That's where
Well,
I'm coming from.
I think it's
Like,
Yeah.
society that rushed you into it. You know what I'm saying? I think our generation's way different. I think we're taking our time, but society was like, you're supposed to have a wife or a husband by this time. You're supposed to have kids by this time. But really, when you think about it, in America, that's just a way to keep us in a box.
yes.
I think everyone is in search of love, and how it looks could be
Yeah.
different, whether it's from a person or from some kind of tangible source. I think everyone is just looking for a certain warm feeling, and however fast they can get it is okay, as long as it means that they're going to be okay right now, because that's what everyone wants to be, is just okay right
Mhm.
now. We're starting to now be okay with not being okay. That's
Ooh,
the only thing that I was
yeah.
going with.
Hmm.
But when wanting and needing love and knowing how to go about it, I think we still a little shaky in that area, because we still in that victim mindset of our people
Mhm.
before us, right? We're so good at pointing out the problem. We don't know how to point out solutions just as fast.
Ooh,
You
that's
did
so
this,
true.
you did this, you, right? It's the you versus I
Mhm.
statements instead of I felt, you did, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, right? Much delivery. So with that to say that it's now you're not given a choice. Someone is telling you who you are as
Mm.
opposed to you being being seen through your actions, your own
Yeah.
gestures. So when it comes to lost my train of thought, but when it comes to presenting solutions, I think that's where that goes back to what we were talking about
Mhm.
earlier in terms of hard ass discussions, right? We could talk about the error. We gonna talk about the black. Let's talk about the white,
Mhm.
right? We talk about black.
Mhm. Mhm.
I felt hurt. All right, what did I do to make you feel hurt? You did, yeah, yeah, yeah. All right, cool. We gonna end the conversation there. Oh nah, let me tell you about the other time you made me feel hurt.
Yeah. No.
Nah, 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 nah. One problem. You felt hurt when I did this. All right, so how can I make that
Right.
better? Next time I stand up for me. Next time I'd like to see it happen this way. Next time I like to see, right? That's where you have more room to be like, all right, there's a next time, right? There's room for hope and there's room for growth. But if we're gonna stay stuck on the
Yeah.
era, that's stagnant water. That's disease water.
Mhm.
Ain't nobody drinking area ass filled water. You need a
Yeah.
flow, right?
True.
Give and take. Being able to know how to be dominant, but how to be submissive,
Mhm.
right? Knowing when to knowing when to stand your ground. We misinterpret when the right moment is to do that and with the
Yeah.
person, right? We get up in this whole idea of good and bad and ugly and pretty.
Mhm.
Those shits don't exist, right? Because your definition of what might be ugly, I might think
Yeah.
is pretty, right? We might hurricanes and rainstorms and fucking tornadoes are bad, but you think the earth give a fuck about what we think it is? It's gonna do it regardless,
Right.
but we're gonna have a new we're gonna have a new piece of land that gotta get destroyed first, right? This is that acceptance, going back to just say it is what it is, what we're gonna do about it,
Yeah, and if it's
right?
not good
How
for
we gonna
you,
move
and you don't accept it, then you got to move on amicably. Because like I said before, I think I had another podcast where it's like, if you had to marry this person today, the way that they are, could you see yourself marrying them today and being with them happily 20 years from now? And if it's a no, then
Ooh.
maybe they're not for you.
Yep.
Because
And that's
we go into it trying to change people. You are who you are, and maybe you do want to grow a little bit. But when you try to go in and you seem to accept them at who they are, but then all of a sudden you're in there and now you want to change all these things. But you knew who they were.
true. If you got with a hoe, what you thought the hoe was gonna do?
I'm done. Even these hoes.
change too? I just feel like how you nurture a is gonna determine the better that you get from them. If you're not giving to that person's best efforts and don't got the patience for their flaws, obviously it's not gonna go
Mm-mm.
anywhere. But again, it goes back to the give and take. You're gonna have to have patience because obviously we're not robots. We're gonna come with fuck ups. We're gonna do some stuff. But does the person have the patience for what you about to
And is
do?
it and what
Nine times
about the energy, Nandy? Because it's also energy. Like I know from my last relationship, I was with somebody for 8 years. That it was not equal. It was
Like,
not. I had to. It was, and I didn't realize that until I was out of it, and I see that they're still going through tower moments without me.
If
That's how
the
I knew.
spark
what
was
drew
never there, they're never gonna change.
Yeah.
can I ask what drew that person initially?
I'm sorry. Say it one more time.
Can I ask what drew you to that
Oh, what
person
drew? Well,
initially?
it was visceral at first, but but what drew me to them was I thought they were a go getter. I thought that they knew how to take care of house and home. Um, I thought that they had a good head on their shoulder. They were motivated, which is really important to me because I'm a very motivated person. And then once I was in it, it was like they were always in survival mode. Even when I created different ways for them not to be in survival mode, it was just like, but I'm happy like this, which was my sign to be like, all right, well, if this is how you're happy like this and you don't care about like maybe the finer things in life, then that's okay for you. It's maybe not okay for me. And that was my problem.
What what were the things that that person was doing that made you feel confirmed that that person was that you thought that you saw, like ambitious, determined?
So I would see that the way they would like even like take when we were just friends, I would just see how they were very they would take care of me, or they were very like solution oriented, it seemed like, and then even the way they were taking care of their kid at the time, I thought, because I didn't know, I never dated people with kids, so I'm like, oh, you're just a good parent, like you're a really good parent. That was something that was like, okay, I could see the greatness in you, but I felt like once I was in it, it was a facade to rope me in because it didn't continue, and it came,
It is.
yeah,
I think is what you were saying, right? So it's the energy,
Mhm.
right? Your spirit is already gonna speak to you first more than anything. But it's how clear of a connection that you have with your mind, body, and spirit to be able to read those signs automatically, right? So 9 times out of 10, we spot the red flags
Oh, I
first
did.
before
Mhm.
we know it, and we know that potentially it's going to be a problem, but we have hope that maybe it's not something that we got to be worried about, right? That's us trying to see the better in the person.
Woo.
But that's also cheap because we know our spirit is saying, we done been through this before. You sure you want to ignore
And
that?
not
Yeah,
only the
that's
I,
All
spirit,
right,
Nandy,
cool.
the
the
same shit
gut.
I've been through.
The gut. Like I would say things out loud, and it was funny because the power tongue is strong. But I would peep certain behaviors, and I'd be like, "That's giving fuckboy energy." But everybody around me would be like, "But he's so nice and he's great." So I'm like, "Okay, maybe it's me. Maybe I'm the crazy bitch," you know. And then when things,
It is you.
Hey guys, I
It
gotta
is you.
go.
Make
okay,
that
all
out.
right, bro.
and then
Uh,
when everything kind of unfolded, it was like I remember my friends and family like, "Girl, you was right the whole time. Like we just didn't see it. We couldn't see or feel what you were seeing and feeling. But everything you ever were thinking or was like, like just in your mind about, and you had this like impending like this gut feeling. I didn't have enough information at the time until it was too late, and spirit was pulling me away from them more than once." And I wasn't listening. And I went back, and you know how spirit works. Oh, you don't want to listen? I'm gonna make you listen. Now you forced to listen.
I'm going to make them undesirable for you. That's what
You better stop. You better stop talking like that.
comfortable. I'm going to make you real uncomfortable so you want to move, right? Because you're trying to be
She's talking that shit.
So
Yes.
so so I got a question for you ladies. So like with everything that Yaya said, right? Why did our parents, or let's say why did our moms keep
Mhm.
committing the same mistakes over and over when it comes to like men? Why couldn't they just like, they saw that red flags with like the first two guys? Why the third guy still resembles the other guy? Why most women from like the generation before us refused to acknowledge that their selection with men sucks?
because a lot of the pain is internal. So we're not looking at the person that we're dealing
Mhm.
with. We're only thinking of what we're going through and how we think that person is
Mhm.
supposed to save us.
Mhm.
Has nothing to do with who you actually
Mhm.
are. It's just we want you to be for us in that
It's
moment,
selfish. It's
which is
selfish.
absolutely selfish.
Mhm.
So the patterns is coming from a comfort zone,
Ooh.
right? Us humans stay in a comfortable place, but we know that our biggest growths come from our most uncomfortable moments, right? It's the things that we weren't ready for. It's the things that we didn't build a roadblock for just in case, because if we knew, what we gonna do, reject it.
Mhm.
So it's the things that caught us off guard that made the biggest changes in our
Mhm.
lives. So it's when we get comfortable that the universe says there's nothing else for you
Oh,
here.
girl. Yes.
You
Mm.
so it's not necessarily something wrong with the flower. We got to repot the
Mhm.
Ooh.
soil,
You need to know your
right?
self worth. So if you a sunflower,
So,
if you know you a sunflower, why are you trying to grow as a weed? It's not gonna work. That same soil for
right.
the weed ain't
Why
gonna work for the sunflower.
apple, right? It's understanding what it is that you're planting and the intent behind what you're
Yeah.
planting. Now, on a side note, when it comes to relationship, I think we fuck ourselves up in the beginning because of what we are projecting on that person, right? If we Emotions last scientifically about 10 to 15 seconds, right? So after 15 seconds, you're officially dragging that emotion. You know that?
Mhm.
You officially drag. So that's one. Two, when we have these human feelings for another person, you understand that you can only uphold an image but for so long,
Ooh,
right? We'll give that a span
that
of
mask comes
to
off.
3 to 6 months. That mask is gonna fall off. You can't uphold that shit for more than 3 months. It's gonna start to get a little shaky, which is why friends are super important, but we are too impatient for that. We just look at it like, you want to fuck, I want to fuck, we gonna fuck virtually, so we should do it now. Mm-mm. Because you still got a lot of fucking maletas behind you, and I'm over here bag lady myself, we not ready for that. Let's give it a time span to say, all right, we can be friends. Everything I need to see about you and everything you need to see about me as a friend is going to come up, right? It's not going to be about impressions anymore, because as a friend, your friend don't give a fuck if they see you spazzing out on the McDonald's employee. Your friend don't give a fuck if you slip and bust your ass. You're probably just going to laugh it off together. But if you're dating, you want to hold the fork a certain way. You might want to get the door this time. You're being a whole different person that just ain't you as not a friend, right? So giving it that time span and respecting that space to for allowing that person to be them, this is where you're gonna see everything. But usually we cut that off. What happens in that time frame is, if you were to give it that time and you say, you know what, I really like the person that I'm seeing. I want to pursue you on a romantic level now. I want to know what your skin feels like, right? I want to know what it's like to lay down with you and have an actual intimate moment. We're not talking about genital friction yet.
Yeah.
Intimacy, right? Romance. How are we gonna get there? We can do that after 3 months if I or 6 months if I decide that I like you in that time, right? And if it don't work out, if it seems like, all right, after we had sex, things are still like, it maybe wasn't all the fireworks and the sparks like it was in a friendship, we can say, let's go back to being
Yeah.
friends, right? Because we started out with that platform. We know what
Yeah.
that's
Friendship
like.
is really
A
important.
lot of
Hmm.
people, we can never say, oh, let's go back to being friends. Everything that person does pisses you off because the moment that you started was for that person to be yours. And you know that when you starting out with possession, that shit is
We
gonna
don't own
end
nobody, baby. What?
And, and,
only God only.
and I want to ask you. I want to ask you something. You first, Nandy, did you grow up with both parents in your household? Wait, did you just spit? Okay, Kiki, Kiki, did you grow up with both parents in your household?
I did.
Okay,
I did.
I've seen a certain post.
We looking
Yeah.
at each other the same way. Like we want to say so much more, but question. Yeah.
So I've seen certain posts where like it shows that like women that grew up with a man in their life, like a father, have a more successful rate in relationships, and they also are more successful at life. Do you believe that's true?
I'm definitely more successful at
I
life.
can't.
I won't say by relationships.
Like, do you think that seeing your father, like the way your father treated your mom or the way they went about their personal relationship, did that
Yeah.
make you find out how you were gonna go about your relationship?
Yeah. I mean, yeah and no, because I made some of the same mistakes. I just didn't marry them. You know.
I, now I am both my mother and my
Yeah.
father. I think that growing up in a every marriages have things, right? And when you grow up in these households, you see certain things that we maybe wish that we hadn't, but whatever we did, we grew up with it. So these ideas form these beliefs and associations what we think is love. So me personally, my concept of love I had to revisit and reconsider so many times in life, because I understood that what I actually thought was love was
Preach.
so not,
Preach.
oh my god, it's not love. And I was forcing myself for years to believe that no, this is the idea of love, right? This is what the man does, this is what the woman does. And sometimes he steps out and sometimes she just nags all day. But this is supposed to be love, because most people have one parent. And so they say, because I have two, then it's just like this is the good thing. But some still don't feel good.
Yeah.
And not only that, my I'll be honest, my father is not an ideal man that I would like to see in a partner for
Hmm.
myself, right? Like he's actually quite the opposite. And I had to understand that, where I date a couple of people like
Hmm.
him in order for what I wasn't cool with. And not only that, I learned a lot of his behavior as a defense mechanism, trying not to replicate my mother's behavior.
Oof. What about you, Kiki?
Everything Danny's just said. which is why I'm therapized. I'm in therapy. You know what I'm saying? Because I had to learn the balance. I had to learn the good thing from each person that is in me, and how to use it correctly, and also be able to communicate my wants and needs without it coming out as like hurting somebody. You know what I'm saying? I use a lot of the defense mechanisms that I learned from both my parents. You know what I'm saying? And I had to get therapized. I had to break down everything, but it's also I had to go through a major tower moment in my life, becoming a mother too, because I'm raising a daughter who I need to make sure she is raised in her feminine, that she knows that what is for you, you are going to attract it, that you don't have to fight for it. I want her to have a soft life. So it was imperative for me to to basically take myself down and build myself back up, so I know how to translate this good energy to my daughter, and that she sees, okay, so if I want this, this is in my life, but I don't have to like, yeah, like anything you want is it's yours. It's just way to go about it. I don't want her to fight, especially as a little black girl. No, I don't.
And for y'all,
Yeah,
because y'all parents and I am not yet a
yeah,
parent. So I understand in my life now, right? A lot of things are coming into fruition into hindsight, like making sense, right?
hmm,
And it's just me. Slap with this truth on a daily basis. We understand this
yeah.
spirituality is only up and it can. How is it that you can have these epiphanies or these spiritual awakenings and raising your inner child while raising another child and then seeing the things that you disliked about your parents
Well, I
yourself,
think
Oof.
that
or not even just but your
I
uppers.
think it that makes me excited that you asked that, because you actually look at them and it's like an extension of who you were, and you have an opportunity to do it totally different. You might take a certain amount of things, but you have the opportunity to just the patience, the getting on the ground, staring in their eyes, some people call it soft parenting, but I think we weren't allowed to have emotions. And I want my little black daughter to know, like, you can have emotions, and you may not like everything that I do, and she can tell me in a respectful way, like, I didn't like when you told me go to the room, or I can't go to that party, but you didn't tell me why. Okay, I didn't tell you why. Let me tell you why. Let me tell you the reasoning behind it. Let me tell you my rationale behind me not wanting you to go here or there. At the end of the day, yes, I am the parent, but we didn't have reasoning or rationale. And I was a crazy kid. I was, if you said no, I was like, well, why you saying no? I'm finna go find out why you saying no. You know what I'm saying? So I did a lot of things in secret because I didn't have that opportunity to be my full.
Oh
What
no,
Something
happened?
something happened to her phone.
Oh man.
probably
Justin, did you bring
I
a
just
virus?
No, I didn't bring a virus. They was attacking the male community a little too crazy though. So I had to get up here.
My boy Justin. Shout out to everybody. Shout out to everybody that's still tuned in with us. Thank you. We having some deep ass conversations, and this is my cousin Justin. Well, technically my nephew, but I'm not that old yet. I'm not that old yet. But like we having another perspective from another male. I have my bro KHINO G, but he had to go, so now I got my nephew Justin over here on the podcast with us. This is his first time. Welcome, Justin. My girl Kiki, she will be back. I think she's having maybe technical issues, maybe her battery died or something. But yeah, like what I was gonna say to what like Akina was saying, like, and the question that you asked, Nandy, I personally feel like, why do I have an echo? But I personally feel like I I have a lot of like resemblance to my mother, and we bump heads quite often due to the fact that we have similar mindsets in the sense that like I don't know, she raised me. She's my mom. It's like, so a lot of things I picked up from her and my
That's what I was
grandparents.
gonna say. I feel like most of us here, I'm not gonna say all of us. Well, at least us three. I don't know about you, Sam, but I know like us three, we are more raised like by our mothers as opposed to fathers. So I
yeah.
I don't think it would like it takes two parents to be for an individual to be successful, I feel
Yeah.
like
But you are more likely to turn out like your mom because you were raised by
yeah,
her.
Yes.
exactly.
and
There's
and 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 I feel like I had a problem with that. I feel like that's like I had a problem with that. Like once I became an adult, I feel like I'm coming into my own person, and I expect you to respect that. I expect you to respect me because you raised me. So if you raised me, you should know that I know better because you raised me. So where is the lack of trust coming from? Like, am I that much of an idiot in your eyes that you don't think that I could make solid decisions for my own benefit? So that's where my clashing with my mother comes from, in the sense that
I
like
agree. I went through
I,
the same thing not too long ago, Sam. I agree. And I
it,
was just saying the same things.
it's true. Sometimes we gotta challenge our parents, in the sense that like not challenge them just to like for the hell of it, but challenge them to like make them understand that you are an adult and you are going through your journey just like they went through their journey. And I'm pretty sure they had it probably tough with their parents too, but eventually they broke out on their own and they did what they had to do, and then they had us and they raised us. So why can't they do the same with us, in the sense that like, yo, let me make my own decisions. Yeah, you could give me consejos, but at the end of the day, I'm the one that's gonna pick and choose what consejo applies to my life. You know?
That's like a domino
Ye-
effect because that's it's a garifuna thing. That's what they went through with their parents, so it just trickles down to
Yeah,
all the kids, and this is gonna continue to go on.
no, I'm looking at it like here's this is it's an unpopular opinion. Welcome
My
back,
phone died.
sis.
I'm sorry. I didn't
I knew
realize.
it. I knew it.
I know so damn dead. I'm sorry.
Um, unpopular opinion being, I think there's things that our parents need to
Yeah.
hear, right? Like we have valid we're seeing, and I'm sure that they probably felt like the way we felt growing up at some point. And I think that's what frustrates us, is because they try to act like they've never been in our shoes, and that they've had it all figured out,
Hmm.
when life don't come with a pen, right? We all still figuring it out. It doesn't matter if you're 67,
Hmm.
82, or fucking 12. We're also figuring it out. So I feel like when it comes to the parents not giving the kids
Hmm.
respect, I we internalize it a lot more than we should for our growth.
Yeah.
Because is why I say that. When they do certain things, we dislike it, and it's
Hmm.
absolutely agreeable, shit like that, unfair. They do some things that we are absolutely not accustomed to, maybe because we Americanized, whatever it is that you want to
Right.
call it. Their mind, it's not wrong. They have complete right in their mind to do the things that they're doing. So I think that when we internalize it as like, you're treating me mal because I deserve it, when we know that that's not the truth, right? It's not because I deserve it. It's just because in their mind, something about it seems
Hmm.
rational. So I think being able to draw that line to say like, yeah, you treated me this way because you're accustomed to a certain upbringing. However, I'm gonna let you know that one, this is a level of disrespect in a way. Because if they understand that you feel disrespected, that's a different approach, right? They wanna pay attention to that. But two, it's, I know that the behavior you're giving me right now, I don't deserve it,
Hmm.
right? That's another thing that they never really listen
Hmm.
to. You don't. We don't deserve the treatment that we get, right? We're not here to save your life. We're not here to cater to
Hmm.
you and not put home and wipe your ass when you get older. We're here to live our
Yeah.
life, right? You accidentally had us. So at this, well, you just had us. So at this point, it's like, respect the human that I am to
Yeah.
become, rather than tell who I am. It doesn't line up. Now I'm a faulty human being because I didn't line up with one.
And I
No,
think also they take it as a thing of disrespect when you're like, yo, when you used to do that and I was younger, like that wasn't cool. And they're like, I would have never said that to my parents. And it's like, but maybe you should have.
because responsibility and accountability, talked about that. That don't exist in their mind.
No.
They cannot not accept that, because now, okay, think about it like this: if they acknowledge that, then that's like admitting that they're wrong, and that is swallowing vinegar for them.
Yeah.
They can't apologize for shit. Even when they apologize, you ever hear how they say it? It's almost like the black people with the "my fault" instead of like
Well,
"I am sorry" or
I
"I."
will, I will say, from my experience, there's four of us. My mom had four of us, but us three girls are we're very, my brother was the last one, so he got all the, the great, like, patient parenting. But us three are very emotionally intelligent. So we've talked on different occasions with her about, how things could have been done differently. And I will say, sometimes my mouth had dropped because my mom has come back and been like, I'm really sorry that, X, Y, and Z. And I didn't realize at the time, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, okay, what? She's talking to me. Okay.
Those that we're for, right? We don't. It's not gonna happen tomorrow.
No,
But that touches on what we were about earlier, Samia, where it's like
it takes time.
we're not having these conversations for this result. But if it does, oh my, it feels like some weight has been lifted in the sense because it's not that you were expecting it, but because it happened, it was still a shocker.
And more respect
We
for
don't know
you.
if it is.
They have more
I
respect for
feel
you
like
as an adult because you're an adult. You're not a kid. You're an adult now. You're
I feel like Gary
not
from
a
our
kid.
parents. I
You
feel
are
like
an
Gary
adult.
from our parents feel like they have it like figured out because I feel like they think like because 9 times out of 10 immigrants, so they feel like they figured everything out, so their way is correct. And for their kids, they have to feel like all right, they have a certain agenda for their kids, so they gotta follow that agenda. And if
Woo!
they
Yeah.
don't, they like the black sheep of the family. Like they get
And they
looked
don't
at
want
the
you
wrong
straggling
way.
in the streets. They don't want you straggling in the streets, being some,
You can't
some
be.
putasa on the street.
You can't get it, but you got to do it the way that they did it, which also I think that causes more
Oh yes.
frustration in our shit too. Their path when they came here, right? Those apartments, that rent is nothing. It's nothing compared to now. Let
Hell
alone the
no.
dollar you left after taxes, right? Let alone the food and the diet that you got. It whether you were instant soup kind of person or you a bottle kind of person, right? You like your Chipotle. However, we can't afford none of this shit compared to the dollar that they could get as an immigrant, right? And the value that back then for them to still give us those same boxes to check. Well, you still got to go to the university and you still got to go get a job afterward, right? Because we did all of that, right? Samuel, you went to the military. I went to school myself. Jay, you're in college yourself, right? We all did our bids,
Yep.
but somehow we didn't get the future that we were supposed to get, that we were told that was supposed to come with those actions too,
Because we're
right?
not
We served
following
our
the
time.
path that our parents want us to follow, the path that
Well,
the
I can't
path that
attest.
they
I
took.
can't attest to that.
It's not the same as what they thought it was going to be
Yeah.
because time has only changed for us, right?
Exactly.
2024 look like is not what '09 looked like. It's not what fucking 2000s look like. Time has changed drastically in our lives for the things that we've dealt with: diseases, terrorist attacks, fucking climate change,
We got
that
a lot
whole
of
smoke
trauma.
shit. We've seen a lot in our lives to say that no, it's not the same for them back then, and it's damn sure not gonna be what our kids have to go through in the future.
Yeah.
But it's to say we can't follow your blueprint because it doesn't apply.
Mm,
It doesn't apply.
mm.
Correct me if I'm wrong. It doesn't apply. Yes, we can take certain things that might have worked for you or didn't work and see how we can apply that to ourselves. But generally speaking, that blueprint has changed.
I think
So
for
to sit
me,
here and still
yeah.
force that
You
on
got-
makes sense.
Like I would say, like me, like there was a time that like I know Kiki can understand where I'm coming from. She knows because
Mhm.
we went through it. There's a time that Akina was kind of like the black sheep. She had her time as a black sheep, and then I had my time as a black sheep at the same time as Akina. So me and Akina
Mhm.
at that time, we were kind of like quote unquote the bumps of our family.
Mhm.
You know, like
No, it
yeah,
was. That was the
2000,
bomb.
2008, 2009 time frame. Like
And
so,
I
I
was
remember
smoking
that my
too, so I was really bad. Everybody's like, "Oh, you a druggie." Like, for everybody to be smoking now. Everybody smoke. I don't even smoke like that.
That's what I'm saying.
Not even doing coke now.
Huh?
That's
It's
a
like
whole nother
Yeah.
conversation. I feel like you got to do an episode on Sarah. Like, why do
I don't even
Garifunas
smoke now. I was
like?
the worst. I was the worst girl. I was the worst woman. Like, look at this guy. You hear that? She is a bad influence on not only the girls but the
Right.
boys. I'm like, I'm
yes.
just what the fuck? I was I used
Like
to
I
live out
remember
loud.
But you know why I think that comes with a certain level of jealousy that they
Mhm.
wish that they could do half of the shit that they seen us do
Oh yeah,
carelessly. And
I
it's
believe
not
that.
because I think we were doing it on a level of I want to numb
Hmm.
something, and they wish that they could have. So it looks like we're like, yeah, I'm having my fun, but it's like, no, 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 no. This is just my way of numbing, and you wish you could
Yeah.
have, but you got me now,
Yeah.
and now I'm both of
Yeah.
us, and you
I don't even
tight.
smoke now, man. Like Nandy, I don't even smoke now. Like ever since like my real like spiritual ascension, I can't even get into like weed like that. You feel me? But I mean, I still got it here and there. But Samuel's not wrong. At one point, it was like we were the black sheep, and it was like, oh, y'all not doing nothing with y'all lives. And then I don't know, something just happened, and I have to say, like, my blueprint worked for me.
Yeah.
Right.
Like it's funny because they let us try to have an intervention with me around that time. I remember they all sat me down in the living room and do all this shit, and I'm like, "What's going on?" So they asked me, "Oh, so Samuel, what are you gonna do with your life?" And I'm like, I just graduated high school. Can I have a few months?
Right.
Like, am I supposed to have it figured out already? Like, and that's the type of pressure that like they unconsciously or consciously added to us. And I enjoy the pressure to a certain extent. I'm a person that I can deliver under pressure. I learned to enjoy that. But when
That's
it's
me.
negative pressure, it's different. Like when somebody's like basically like trying to like predetermine your destiny. I
Oh
don't
yeah,
like that.
I can't
I like to be in full control of my destiny of my life. Like I know that at some point we are controlled by somebody. We are controlled by the IRS. We are controlled by the government. So yes, I know that somebody at the end of the day is pulling our strings to how much we could do. But when it comes to like our home, our immediate family where we live in, I feel like nobody should have a chokehold on nobody's future like that. And I feel
yeah,
like a lot of Garifuna parents are just like that.
I feel like the pressure though is
I
more
think
intense when you have siblings,
Yes.
especially younger ones at
no. I
that.
think the I think they want better for us in the sense that they want us. I think they got a certain image for us, and that when we don't do it, then they try to like do this conditional love thing. Like I'm gonna love you a little bit less until you get it right. Back to that whole shaming, back to loving
yeah,
it.
Facts.
But I think it removes that that space that we feel like invincible, right? Like I could do anything, and my family is. I'm gonna have my family to fall back
yeah,
on. I think that's where they get this idea of like I'm gonna remove my love so that way you feel forced to get it right, and then in the end we don't want to give into that image. So it's a lot easier to just be like, I'm not gonna do what you want me to do, and that's gonna be it. And that's the constant battle that we keep going back and forth with. Like everything that they want us to do, they don't know how to communicate, so we end up doing the complete opposite out of spite, right? Like they want us to do better for our people back at home. They just don't know how to say it. They don't know how to communicate that in a way that we're gonna be like, you know what? I think I want to do that too for our people. We more just like, you know what? I can't stand y'all because y'all all just some angry motherfuckers. I just want to get away from y'all. And that's a product of what we're seeing right now. Everyone want to stay away for the concept of we have a negative association with our people.
Yep.
We just a bunch of angry ass people who only want to numb our shit as opposed to like do the shadow work.
Hmm.
no, nobody wants to do the work. Like nobody wants to. I think that emotionally, like when it comes to like my life, yes, I feel like I definitely broke some barriers and some ceilings. And I have to say, like, I can't sit here and act like my mom is not well accomplished or my dad wasn't a well accomplished people. They were well accomplished people, but they also had 3 4 mouths to feed. So they didn't really get to enjoy like how I'm getting to enjoy it. You know what I'm saying? And I will say, I will piggyback on what Samuel said. It was like they were hard on us, and I learned to work really well under pressure because I've had the tias, the tios, the moms, the dads saying you ain't gonna be shit because the way you be living. I'm like, oh, I really for real? I bet I got you.
Facts. Facts.
To now, oh,
But with the right support, could have been Donald
oh
Trump,
yeah.
bro. Like Garifunas are nothing but business owners and creators. They just don't know how to fucking go
Yo,
about
for
it.
them to turn around now and be like, all four, like I be telling my mom all the time, I'm like, yo, you lucky, all 4 of your kids, nobody's drug addicts, like everybody's well fucking accomplished. You have 4 fucking black kids, and they are all well accomplished. Nobody is homeless. Nobody is trying to get the next fix down the street. Like everybody is well accomplished and in their careers, and they're living well. That is
And
the
you
worst
would
thing.
and you would
You
think
think that they're satisfied now, even though everyone is well accomplished? Do you think that they're satisfied, or is there still a level of like you haven't reached and you need to yada yada
exactly
yada?
like, oh yeah, you're doing okay, but you could always be doing better instead of
No,
actually
Yeah.
I
appreciating
don't,
where we at.
I don't get that. I
Hmm.
don't really get that from my mom because my mom is. I don't really get that from my parents. No, because everything we're doing now is extra. All this that I'm doing, this is extra stuff that they never do. You know what I'm saying? Me having me doing this podcast, me having my tarot business, me having more than one job, one stream of income, me having going out with friends when I have free time, me being a mom, juggling all that shit, me having a nanny. Those are all things they never had. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
what can you say to that?
True. That-
I have a question for you guys. When it comes to our parents and our parents' parents and all the elderly that we have left, we've seen the numbers dwindling, right? So how do you think we can come together with their stubbornness, knowing what we know now, to be able to get on the same page for the youth that's already here and still coming in?
Justin, you should go first.
I gotta think about that one for a second.
Okay.
Think about that one. I'm
Okay,
probably the
Kiki.
youngest one, so I
I
gotta think
think
about that one.
I think it's on us. I think they are who they are, and they're not really coming down from that unless they say, "Hey, we're gonna go to therapy and we're gonna sit and intervention with all of us to be better for the younger people." I think now is on us, unfortunately, because we have a little bit of our parents and grandparents, but we also have enough. Um, we're also cool enough to be able to work with the younger youth, with the youth. I think
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what,
we are the
that's
middle. We're the last
unfortunate.
of the dying breed. Like it's on
Yes.
us to still
Yeah.
and still
You're in control.
bring in
That's
that
a fact.
culture or those things that we learned from our parents and grandparents and bestow it upon the youth. I don't think it's their job anymore because they're too far gone and they just think
That's a
they think we're
fact.
too emotional. They think we're too emotional and in our feelings,
That's a fact.
and they
I
don't
saw a
have time to
movie.
be emotional or in their feelings.
I saw a movie like that on Netflix. It was it's a funny ass movie that came out last year, like around November or October last year.
Yeah,
It was a comedy movie about basically the the baby boomer generation or the crack baby generation,
yeah,
or the Vietnam generation. You know that baby basically people born in the 60s and 50s.
right.
And
The baby boom.
and then us the millennials. So they like it was funny because like the guy was smoking a cigarette, right?
Hmm.
And then some guy was smoking a vape. So the guy was like, "Sir, you can't smoke here." So the guy that was that millennial, right? So the baby boomer was like, "So what the fuck you think you doing right now?" And he's like, then the millennial was like, "Well, this is a vape. It's not really like smoke. It's just air that comes out." And he's like, and then the boomer was like, "What the fuck do you think the meaning of smoke is?"
It's
Yo,
true.
no, but the movie you gotta watch it because that movie had a lot of like compare and contrast of
Yeah,
generations. Like and a lot of it made you think. Like I felt like the actual deeper meaning of that movie is like, yes, we all grew up in different situations, different generations, but we could come together and find a middle ground. And I
yeah,
think
Yep.
yeah, and I feel like that movie has a lot. It was funny as hell, but it had a strong message behind it, you know. And
yeah.
the baby boomer generation, that guy was angry. He was always angry, like
Yeah,
screaming or cutting.
they be mad.
Yeah. So the guy was like, "Man, I think y'all need some therapy." And then the guy was like, "Oh, y'all millennials, y'all always crying."
Yep. That's what, but they don't realize that
Walk.
they don't realize that we're just way more emotionally intelligent because we've had more time to kind of sit back and not pressure ourselves with being, with all these different things around us. You know what I'm saying? And then they also get mad that we don't stick with no job. If we don't like the job, we fucking leave it. I ain't no slave to no motherfucking
Yeah,
job.
to them we move around
We
too
move around too
much. To
much.
them we don't. We have too many options, and they be trying to shun us for that shit. But again, I feel like they just low key envious
Oh
of it
yeah.
because they wanted the same chance.
Because think about it,
But
Nandy.
I think,
Think about it, Nandy. We don't realize that they will
mhm,
come home from work, right? Then be in our asses, get mean to us, be fucking mean. And it's like, yo, what the fuck? Like you just got home. Why you being so mean to me? Because they was sticking in jobs that they fucking hated. I don't want to
Yep.
be like that when I get home.
exactly. They couldn't stand their fucking bosses. They just clean Julieta's ass all day, and now they gotta
But
come
to them,
home to
they
all
felt
the
like
things
they
that.
was doing it, like they was doing the right thing. You know,
They was
like maybe they
robots.
was,
They were no to
yeah,
them they were holding down the fort, but at the end of the day, there was a lot of resentment there because they're taking care of kids that they're in a position that they didn't necessarily picture with their escape
Yep.
plan. Put it
Yeah, I
like that.
agree.
So their so sweet plan wasn't looking so sweet. There was one day, there was one week where living by myself in college, I did the breakfast, lunch, and dinner thing. I cooked
Mm-hmm.
breakfast, lunch, and when I mean I was wiping my forehead, I was like, I don't have no kids. I am just feeding myself. I don't have to feed nobody,
I'm
Yeah.
better
okay?
than me because
And
I would
I'm like,
never.
I had a certain level of respect for these women because
No, because you look
making it
back and you're
work.
like,
And
how did you do all of this? How?
Hmm.
how?
With no
How?
kids.
But somehow, and I'm like, it's not that your anger is warranted. Well, it's not justified, but it is warranted. I see where they were overworked, but my shit is this is all a choice. Again,
Hmm.
y'all chose the situation
True.
y'all were in, and where I draw the line is making the kids feel like we were at blame when we had nothing to do with their adult decisions
Hmm.
Mm.
at the time that they, but I do think that what helps me give them a chance is to give them a space to be human.
Mhm.
Not look at them as an aunt, not the
That's
mother,
true.
not the uncle.
Hmm.
I'm not looking at you as a 45-year-old or the 63 year
Yeah.
old. I'm looking at you as a person. So when I'm doing that, I'm asking questions as if I'm a fucking news anchor and we got an interview going because a lot of the answers that I need are in those questions. What was your childhood like? What happened with this? What
Hmm.
were the ways that you carry your pain? They get frustrated with those
They sure
questions,
fucking
but
do.
at the end of it, when they start to talk, you start to see the relief that they feel like the weight has kind of been lifted off. So it's not so much of, oh, you did this as a kid and I need you to be this kind of a parent. It's more like, what caused you to be like this as a parent so I could understand you better as your child?
Hmm.
And then
Circumstances,
later
though.
on,
I said
huh?
circumstances. I feel like circumstances makes a
But we
parent
don't know
feel
the
like they gotta, just like you
circumstances.
said before, though, like they might not be happy necessarily with what they doing, but they just know that they holding the fort down. So just circumstances
But
is
think about
wild.
how robotic. I think about how robotic that is because you're human, like Nandy said. Like you are human. You have human emotions. You have human thoughts. Like, and I don't think they knew to separate themselves from being a robot and being human and being like, well, what's making me feel this way before I come and be like, why the dishes not clean? Why is the meat?
But that's the
And you're
thing, though.
oh,
They following. That's why I said it's like a domino effect, because they following what they know. Like they might have, like our parents might have seen their parents do that, so that's all they know.
yeah,
So
my mom told me
that's
my
what they're
grandfather.
gonna
Which
do.
is why,
My mom told me my
but they
grandfather used
don't
to
know
come
why.
home and go like this to the TV on top of the TV to see if it was dusty or dirty, and then they would get in trouble. Hmm.
Gosh.
That's what my grandfather.
See, these are the things that I'm saying. One, got to be brought to the attention, but two, to understand that it's like it wasn't. We didn't deserve it, and they knew that, but that was all that they knew in that
Hmm.
time.
Exactly.
So it's how can we give them the space to say you still fucked up, but I get it why you fucked up, right? It's a little bit. It's a lot different than like I don't get why you fucked up, but you fucked up,
Yeah, no,
as
I
opposed
hear
to
that.
you fucked up, but I get
No,
it.
you're right.
And
You're right.
You
You're
know.
and
right.
I
So
and to me it's about like again we had nothing to do with the choice making. We were kids, or we wasn't even before we were born. Like I feel like for instance right now, right, I have two kids. I my wife and I, we chose to have these kids. We made the adult decision to have sex, and her got pregnant, and we didn't protect ourselves. We had kids. I was 21 going to 22 when I basically got Lacey pregnant. And
really, you were that young?
yeah,
Oh,
Ivy's
yeah.
that old?
Yeah, Ivy was born when I was 23.
That's
Oh
crazy.
my gosh, Ivy's 10.
Yeah, she is.
Wow, the time is too much. Okay.
So like my thing, prima, we did that. We were young as hell. We didn't even enjoy our
Yeah.
marriage before we became parents. But
Wow.
so am I gonna pin that on my daughter? No.
No.
That's not gonna do. Sometimes I get upset, like, and I start lashing out like, oh yeah, we could have done more when we were younger. Now we
Hmm.
parents, and yes, so it happens sometimes because I get frustrated with the idea of, yo, could have, would have, should have type of thing. And that,
Yeah.
and therapy helped me learn how to like don't overindulge in the things that could have been done better. Just
Yeah, because
learn
it happened
from
for a reason. Yeah. Be present.
exactly. And
Yeah.
but like I said, therapy. And most of our elders don't know what that word is. Like most of our elders, therapy for them es una faja. Like that's
Yeah.
therapy. Like yeah, nigga, you're gonna get this therapy.
Because it goes against the core value. Remember, what happens in this house
Reason
stays
is how.
in this house. It
Mm-hmm.
goes against all of that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's pretty much like they're betraying themselves by going against that. I wouldn't go as far as therapy. Like, yes, everyone does need therapy, but not everyone is open to the
And you gotta tell
ideas,
the
let
truth.
alone
You
like
gotta be
open
able to be
thing.
honest about
They
things.
rather
Right.
they
I
rather sink into the
much
Bible.
I think is
That's
more
facts, Sam.
us
That's facts.
place, right? Go to church. Why do people read the Bible? It's a safe place for you to feel like you come as you are, right? So I don't think it's a matter of therapy. I don't think it's a matter of church. I think it's a matter of your surroundings being a safe space to one, be flawed, and two, improve, right? To do better. But if we coming from a place of you fucked up and I don't like that, what comes after that? You know what I'm saying? Everything is stuck from there. But if you giving it a chance to say like you fucked up, but we can do better, let's make it better. Our parents are the epitome of that,
Yeah.
especially like in the stubborn ways now where we know that they're not gonna change. But there's one thing that I did with my grandmother before losing her to Alzheimer's, asking her about the memories that she had left
Yeah.
because she couldn't remember much before she passed away. But for the things that she could remember and the things that I could ask
Yeah.
her, I didn't realize how awakening it would be, and I didn't understand how important that information was, and to have to get it from her at the time that I did, right? To understand how dated back our history goes with a lot of things that have happened, right? So is just to say and be honest, like some things do happen, but only certain people can give you those
It's
accounts.
true.
If you come in with a unbiased platform, you're gonna be able to hear everything that that person has to say, and it's gonna seem unpopular. You're not gonna like some of that shit, but what you need to know is located somewhere in those stories. So as much as you might not want to hear it, I say sit down and ask those questions. Make like have questions about the shit that makes you uncomfortable. Why did you choose my father? Why do you keep repeating these patterns? Did you feel safe growing up? Were you violated in
But
any
bro,
way?
in the
How some of the
Garifuna community, that's considered disrespectful. You know
Yes.
that. You know that though. You know that.
But I think you also have
why,
to just take it, and just
why
do
we
it.
explain that matter of- yes, thank you. If you keep telling yourself they're gonna take it personally, then this is why we keep stopping where we
True.
are, and by not anything, you're just as guilty as the bad doer. You get what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So it's a matter to say I'm not disrespecting you, but what I have to say is still valid,
Yeah.
right? Now, what's the way that I could communicate that to you in a way that you're not just gonna hear me and listen, but you're also gonna comprehend it?
Even if you come back later,
That is
even if they come back later,
work.
even if they come back later and like, you know what?
I feel like
And you
that's
like,
a whole
oh,
separate thing though. Like I feel like it take a lot for like
It,
a Garifuna parent to just
cool.
accept their wrongdoings.
Yeah.
Like
Oh
I said
yeah.
about
Hands
like
down.
it
I
takes
think,
a lot for them to just like
but I don't think
just
it's about
accepting it in
accepting it
general.
You're
in
not
that
doing
moment. I think what she's saying is saying it so they can receive it, and it may sit on their brain for a little
yes.
bit, but then it's like, well, you also got to watch your tone when you're speaking these things, because if you're speaking fat, you got to look up your tone behind it. Your tone is everything. You know what I'm saying?
When you
I
speak,
was always told it's not what you say, is how you say
It's
it.
how you say
But
it.
even if you can say it in the nicest tone, you still gonna get like you gonna be the black sheep for what you said.
goes
But you gotta,
it goes with knowing
yeah.
abilities as a person and as an individual, and then knowing the individual that you're talking to, right? So how I approach Akina might not be how I talk to you,
That part.
Justin. How I talk to you, just how I have a
You see it
conversation
in
with
your
Samuel, right?
families. Like the way I speak, everybody know, oh God, Akina about to speak. Oh God, God. Sometimes my family growing up, they was already on guard. They didn't even give me a chance to really express myself because they already think I'm about to be in like fight mode. And then they hear me speaking and they hear what I say and they have to sit back and be like, oh, okay. They're already expecting
Oh.
me to go blow for blow because I'll be ready. Like I stay ready, but
Oh.
that's not if I'm trying to get my message across. I can't move in that aura. You know what I'm saying?
Oh. Hey, family. What's up? So you tuned in at the right time, Prima. This is the segment that you gotta listen.
Who's this?
Hey, this right here. I'm gonna show it.
Oh hell.
Happy Sean.
Yeah.
But yeah, um, me personally, honestly, when it comes to like family trauma, it did affect me when I was younger, when I was coming up. But now it doesn't really linger because I learned how to separate it. I learned how to like like I had that one moment in my life where like yeah, it was a little disrespectful about the way I went about it, but I kind of like went and I had that moment with my mom where it was like very overboard. Like I put it that way, but it needed to happen for me and it needed to happen also for her. I felt like keeping it real with everybody that you supposedly love is what makes a real and strong relationship
It
until the
does.
end. So like sometimes like it came out the wrong way because I was just frustrated. But at that point, it needed to be said. And I felt like like Justin said, even if you find the nicest way possible to deliver the message, it's not gonna be heard. So sometimes you gotta be aggressive. That's when the message is actually heard. Especially with some people. Like for
Well, I had
instance,
to become a mother. I had to
I,
become a mother in order to get my
Don't
point
shake your
across.
head no,
yeah,
Nandy. You
yeah,
that's
like
he talking nothing but facts. You know
because
he's
sometimes
talking facts right now.
like
No, because sometimes people only see the aggression and they don't hear the words. So I think that again, it depends on the person that you
I have
talk
to watch the way
exactly.
I say
But
If
it.
you
you
could
Yeah.
if you
say it.
did
You could say it over and over again in the nicest way possible, and you won't be hurt until you get that aggressive tone, though.
But it's
yes.
okay to
maybe
also
you
protect yourself from somebody who doesn't want to hear you.
at the
It's okay to
end, everyone's is different.
yeah.
Some people you gotta die the shit that you saying.
Yep.
Some people you gotta throw eloquent words in
That's
there.
me.
But every person is different at their comprehension, which is why I'm saying maybe you might need to be a little bit more intense with your delivery, right? Or maybe you might need to be a little bit more soft. It all depends on the person. But if you don't know, you just feeling a kind of way, all they're gonna see is what you feeling. You're gonna look like a feeling kind of nigga. They didn't hear shit. They don't know what they did to piss you off.
Mhm.
They don't know what all they know is I feel attacked now, right? Which is usually what we get. I feel
Yep.
attacked.
Yep.
I'm the
Yep. Yep.
victim, which is hero because we only look like an emotional ass nigga talking.
Yep. And also
But
make
at
sure
the
your
end,
material backs it up, right?
I
I think with
like
our parents, you also got to make sure your material backs it up. You can't be talking all this and they looking at you like, well, then why are you not doing that? If you feel this way about it, I talk to you like
But
this because, or I've done this because X, Y, and Z, and I don't see the fruition of what I taught you. You know what I'm
it,
saying? So,
it also comes with the frustration, like, especially when you're dealing with a mother instead of a father. With a father, there comes an age where, like, okay, now we're gonna talk man to man.
mm,
We could fight it out if you want to. But with a mother, you could never say those words. You could never be like, "Oh, let's fight." With your father, you can. If you feel like your father's being disrespectful to you as a man, all right, let's go. It happens because sometimes you gotta prove your point. Sometimes, like when you too nice or you speak too softly, you in the eyes of your parents, you're an automatic pussy. Like,
Exactly, sis.
like
oh,
Exactly. That's what I'm trying
woman
to
be fighting
say.
her mother and she feels like she
no,
disagrees
no, I'm
with you.
saying with a
That's
mother, you can't do that. Meaning the frustration of you not getting your message through, it climbs to that level.
no, I'm saying sons can fight their fathers if they need, if
It
y'all
could happen. It could
having
happen. It happens sometimes. Sometimes when let's say I'm a 30-year-old man, right, and my father is like 45. Yo, we both adults. We both grown men now. That this nigga coming out of his mouth. Sometimes the only way to solve that issue is to go at it. It's sometimes
nah, because as a man, what is your fist saying that your mouth can't?
I mean, she got a
Nandy,
point. She got a point.
I know
She
what
got.
you're
I
saying,
mean,
Nandy. I
she
get
got
it,
a point.
but it's like a
She
man.
has a
It's like
very
Yeah,
valid
it's
point.
different from a
she
male
does.
perspective, though,
It's
Nandy.
a,
Like
it's
it's different.
a man culture.
No,
A manly culture
I,
is not the same as a
I
woman
get
culture. It's not the same. Like for instance, in school, right? Most of the time, like girls fight over petty shit. Like even at parties, women fight over petty, stupid nonsense. When men fight, it's some real shit. Like oh shit, like yo, you dead ass came and like you went to my house and you fucking my bed and you fucked my bitch.
it's a matter of opinion. It's a matter of opinion. We're gonna leave that to our
Okay.
opinion.
Yo,
because
No,
nah.
I agree with
honestly,
you, Sam. I agree with
no,
you.
I'm being honest. Like from a man perspective, a
He
lot
said,
of
I
times,
agree with you,
like
Sam.
a lot of time when we see like from a male's perspective, when we see women fighting in the clubs or the bars, we on the sideline like, look at them fighting probably over a boyfriend or fighting over like so like something
But
on Facebook.
no, no,
Or
no.
she said she didn't like
Hmm.
my
Women are
Why
more
you
she didn't like
dancing
she
with
didn't
my
like
nigga?
bruh,
man she didn't like my
women are more likely to hold a grudge and be silent. Men are more likely to get physical, right? But either which way, there's no words that's actually giving
Mm-hmm.
solutions. So this is what I'm saying. What is your fist saying that your mouth can't? And what is your silence saying that your mouth
true.
can't?
Yeah, I feel like what Nandy's saying is that we're not solution based enough. Like, like we need to speak, but also we need to be solution based. That you're not communicating if it's silence, because then that's like being passive aggressive, and now it just builds and builds and builds. And then when you fight, you're being aggressive, and that just builds more anger and more resentment, and then nothing gets
It
healed.
And did
it
like I see guys, I respect y'all a lot because y'all could legit shoot the fucking one, and the next day, like
Yeah,
y'all
no,
could be in
she's
the same
right.
setting and
It's
nothing shit y'all.
it's a respecting.
But
Like let's say for instance, if I have a disagreement like with somebody that I care about and it goes to that level, we're gonna talk about it. Like, yo, okay, obviously we don't agree, at all. But at the same time, I feel disrespected, you feel disrespected. How can we solve this issue? We could easily be like, okay, let's go to a ring and put some gloves on. It doesn't have to be about, oh, let's kill each other. Let's go and let's go some rounds. And once somebody goes down, the fight stops right there. It happens.
I lose the fight. That means now whatever you said, I have to
No,
automatically
Not
that's
subscribe.
not what it means.
necessarily. Not
That's not.
necessarily.
So why are we fighting
That's
if we
why
don't
that's what I'm
agree?
trying to
It's
figure
a
out. Why
level
y'all fighting?
of
What
a
is the
respect
solution?
thing though. Like it's
It's
a
a men
respect thing.
thing.
It's not
Yeah, yeah,
necessarily like I gotta listen to you now because you just whipped my ass.
yeah.
It's a
Exactly.
respect thing.
Like
But
most
what
of the
gets?
time,
I guess what she's trying to say is what gets solved after that. Yes, the respect thing, but like,
Like,
so
can't we just
am I now
agree to
your son?
disagree without
Am I
fighting?
now your son because you sunned me?
no, because
No.
most of the time, most of the time, look, if even if you lose a fight, like let me give you an example: Muhammad Ali and George Foreman. Muhammad Ali won the first fight. He did. But then George Foreman came back and he proved to the whole world, yo, I could still go. So that respect was there because Muhammad Ali used to clown George Foreman. He used to clown him in some disrespectful shit. But then as a man, he went to Muhammad Ali's house, and that's when he was religious. And he was like, listen, even though you were out of pocket, OD, I still forgive you for what you said and all of this and that. And Muhammad Ali looking at this nigga like, what? Like he knew that he violated. He knew that George Foreman could have easily come to his house, probably knock his ass out. But they spoke about it, right? And then he decided to return in the ring when he became broke. And at this time, he wasn't just about fighting. It was about respecting his name and earning back the money that he had lost because somebody fucked him over. That guy that fucked him over was like almost his best friend. He stole almost all
George
his
Foreman,
money.
really?
Yeah, that's
Oh,
how
I
he
never
became
watched
broke.
the
His
movie.
manager. His manager. So
Oh
then,
wow.
that's why he was forced to get back into the ring at a older age for boxing
Oh
because of
wow.
that. So like, his wife was like, "No, don't do it," because George Foreman was ready to go and kill that nigga. But then he's like, "Nah, you could use that anger and go into the ring and earn your respect back the right way and earn that money at the same time." So it's about that respect at the end of the day. And then Muhammad Ali and him became almost best friend at the end of their both careers. But they hit each other in the face.
I
It's
don't
a
know.
men thing.
I think I'm more with I'm more with Nandy on this. It's like, yeah, we could fight, but like, I'm a fighting
Kids.
ass bitch.
Hey, what's up, man?
I
Yo,
don't know
Justin,
this.
you got a big ass
I'm
head.
crying.
Yeah, hi everybody.
It was good, man. It was good.
What's good, Sam? Much love, cuz you
Yes,
already know.
man.
All
Likewise, bro.
right, Justin. All right.
Yo,
Yeah,
Nandy, tell him what I
right.
said, Nandy.
About
You
what?
know what I'm talking about. Just tell him what I said.
Oh, okay. I'll be right back out.
Yeah, but yeah, Kiki, it's one of those things that's hard to explain. It's just very difficult to explain why, but
Yeah.
sometimes it gets to that point where like, okay, there's no more talking. Because sometimes you can keep talking and talking and talking and talking and talking,
And you
and
just won't be heard.
it won't be heard. Like, why do you think sometimes you and your sister sometimes fought? because there was
Yeah.
no understanding anymore. There was no words being heard from either
No,
side.
it was me. It was me because Mouse has actually more. Mouse has actually always been a lover, not a fighter. I was just like, I was bad at communicating my feelings. I was just bad at communicating my feelings. I really was. Like I've always. I It hasn't gotten better since like recently. Like at 33, you know. But most of my life, it was like, man, fuck these words. I'm about to knock you the fuck out, you know,
Like, I
or I'm
mean,
gonna curse you
somebody
the fuck out.
like
I'm gonna go
somebody,
curse
let's
you
say
out.
somebody, let's say I'm walking with my wife, right? My wife, not my girlfriend,
Yeah.
not my baby mom, my wife. I'm walking, right? And I'm there enjoying the night with my wife, and somebody says something disrespectful to my wife, meaning a man, maybe even a woman, doesn't matter. I'm not just gonna be like, oh, let's talk about it. Yo, why you disrespecting my wife? No, this nigga obviously had evil intents behind it. He obviously wanted to disrespect my wife to catch my attention. Well, you have my attention now. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm not gonna try to make peace with a guy that just totally violated me as a man and violated my wife.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's where the respect comes in. Like I'm gonna defend my wife's honor and I'm gonna defend my honor while at it. And even if I do get my ass beat, at least he's gonna be like, damn, at least this nigga wasn't a pussy. He honored that. He stood up
Mm-hmm.
for his wife. And my wife is gonna look at me like, oh, at least you stood up for me, babe. I appreciate that. So like that's what it comes down to being a man, like standing up for your principles. And sometimes your principles has to come to the fist, you know. So I mean, I did in the military. I know I did. I fought a lot of niggas in the military, and a lot
For
of times it was
real.
part. It was part of training. It was part of training,
Yeah.
but it was also like it was a way for them to let us release stress because the military is a very stressful environment, extremely stressful, and it's
Mm.
a lot of men, a lot of like what do you call that? Not estrogen,
Testosterone.
Testosterone.
testosterone built the fuck up. And sometimes it comes out the wrong way if you don't release it the right way. So sometimes we would have PT, right? We would do PT on
Mhm.
Fridays, and then that would be like, okay, they will pull out the blue mats and be like, okay, if you don't like somebody or you have an issue with somebody, call them out right now and do combatives. So
What?
we the only rule was don't hit each other on the face. But everything else was a go. Y'all could choke each other, y'all could drop each other, it's fine. As long as y'all don't hit each other on the face.
What?
Yeah, and then it was, and then after that we would still work the rest of the day, and we we shake, we go like this at the end and be like, all right, you got it, you know, nothing happened, like so
I'm in amazement. I'm like,
yeah, it's true. Like I know I fought my brother, and we still best friends until this day. Nothing happened. It was an honor thing. Like I wasn't gonna let my brother bully me. Like I wasn't gonna let that happen. You know, so it's one of those things. It's a men thing. It's more men. Like we fight for. I'm not gonna say we fight for a stronger reason than women. I'm not gonna say that, but we fight for like more when our ego or our ego or our pride is stepped on. That's when most men fight. Most women fight. Oh, she said my wig is ugly. Oh, my wig is put on wrong. Oh, little petty stupid nonsense. Oh, look at her skirt. I don't like her skirt. And then she's gonna say your skirt is ugly. Oh, we're gonna start fighting. You know, like
yeah, I ain't never do nothing. That's one thing I know. I'll say that. That's one thing I ain't never do. I never really, cause bitch, I don't give a fuck. You know, like who are you anyway?
That's
Don't
you
nobody know you.
personally,
Are
though.
you
I feel like
famous? Are you famous? Don't nobody know who the fuck you are. Please, anyway.
yeah, yeah. It's, you know, it's just. But I just started. That's why sometimes I don't like speak on certain things because I know that like
Yeah.
the way I view certain matters is very left. Like in the sense that like it's unorthodox for some people the way they deal with certain situations, certain relationships, and that's why I ended up moving to Texas. Well, that's one of the reasons I ended up down here because I felt like I was too unorthodox for the core family. Where like to me, okay, if you're gonna try to come and step into my life, you gotta come correct. And a lot of people wasn't coming with that energy. So for me not to do nothing stupid, let me separate myself from them. And that's how I deal with my situation. But that doesn't mean that I wasn't ready to go at it with any of them. Because it's like sometimes you gotta let it be known. You cannot come into my yard and be disrespectful. Like you
Right.
cannot. Yeah, but it's a man thing.
that's how it was
No, I
for me,
feel
fam.
you.
Before I
I
moved,
feel you.
but before I moved, I was going at it with my mom's, family members, but it's just for that simple reason right there.
Yes. But yeah, so guys, I know we've been speaking for a while, and I appreciate all of your time. Kiki,
I know
you're
I left
amazing.
my mom out in my living room. I felt so bad because I made her dinner and just saying like it does get better when you speak to your parents and stuff. Like I feel like I had my just for closing. Like I had once I had my daughter, I just was handling everything. I had to take a moment and be like, Mom, wow, I respect you because you did it with 4 kids. And although I didn't really agree with everything you did. Like I see why you had to do it the way you had to do it. Because they're like in survival mode. Like you said, I chose. I knew at 33. I knew when I was going to get pregnant with Mariah. I knew. I felt it. I said, I'm comfortable in life. If the opportunity is given to me to have a child, I'm going to be a mother because I want to be a mom. So my patience with my daughter is a lot more different than probably what my mom had for all of us. You know what I'm saying? Because I picked it, I wanted it, I manifested it, and I became a mother. So it's funny because sometimes she'll say to me, just to close out, sometimes she'll say to me, oh, I can't wait till she gives you back what you used to give me. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm also a lot more understanding. So if I do something she doesn't like, I have a lot of self-awareness. So I probably won't be as mad as you.
True, true. You're
I have self awareness, and I
Yeah.
know I don't do. I know I'm not going to do everything right. So, if she comes back at 15, 16, says she didn't like something, I'm not going to be like you're rude. I'm going to sit down, check myself, and then I'm probably going to interject about it.
and when it comes to that part, like also like to try to like say my last piece,
Mm-hmm.
the hypocrisy
Mm-hmm.
with certain relationships and certain people, it's like baffles
Yeah.
me. Like I feel like like that's why I'm not I wouldn't call myself volatile, but like I just don't like I just don't like for instance, let me give an example. Oh, my kids grows up and they turn up and they do this and that, and I'm trying to call their attention about writing cheeks or doing this and that, when I know damn well I have videos of me writing cheeks. You know what I'm saying? Like the hypocrisy. That's why I sometimes don't tolerate from certain relationships from the past. They
Yeah.
lucky there was no Snapchat, no Instagram, none of that back then. But they did this shit too. So now, since there's no type of evidence, you try to act like you're a santa or a santo and try to call us out on our shit. Oh, we don't do it like you don't do it like y'all do it. But y'all still had your way of doing it. Y'all probably used to go to the playa and pisar. Like,
Yeah, and think about it. And even if they didn't want to do that, because I always say to my like for my mom and some of my aunts and stuff, and even if they didn't do it, you had a chance to do it and you didn't do it. So that's not my problem.
bingo. Like the hypocrisy. I hate that. Like, don't like. Anyways, I don't want to drag the convo any longer.
Yeah, we could talk about this shit all day. This was a
Yeah,
good conversation.
yes. Well, Nandy, Kiki,
Hi, it was so
Justin,
nice to talk to you, girl.
yes,
It was amazing talking with all of y'all. Thank y'all so much for blessing me with y'all
Keep the
energy, and I'm looking
intelligence.
forward to more conversations.
I learned a lot
I
from you.
love y'all.
I love y'all too, man. Y'all amazing.
You
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
Always good
And
conversation. Yeah.
I knew it was gonna be great chemistry because y'all so amazing,
Yes,
intelligent, beautiful ass woman. So
this
that's
was
what I
so
like to
dope.
have on my show.
Yeah, you keep it up, girl. You got that.
I'm looking forward. Let's keep unpacking. I like it.
Yeah, I love it. You guys have a
All
safe
right.
weekend, guys. Okay, be safe and
Y'all too.
just
Stay blessed.
stay blessed. Yep, stay grounded. Be safe. I love y'all. We'll talk soon. Okay.
Yes.
Amen.
Later. Good night.
Tostitos.